Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Pronago bringing you another Cosmonarchy tournament, a weekend wage. I know we just concluded the Tribunal stage, so it was pretty fortuitous that we jumped right into our bi-weekly event. We actually delayed this one by 1 week to finish up the Tribunal stage. Some of the really important games for getting into the later stages of that tournament were played last weekend. So we're going to be getting into a very interesting bracket here. I'm going to go ahead and show you guys that bracket in just a moment. And while I am getting ready to do that, I also want to give a shout out to all of the brave souls who have joined us for today's games. We have 11 players getting ready to do battle. Some of them have already begun their wars. So let's go ahead and take a look at our bracket. We also have some interesting off-racing happening here, with Zeke rocking Protoss and Hamster rocking a Scozy. That puts Arbiz as seed number 2 because he's on his main race from the last little bit, but he has been somewhat inactive, so there is that to keep in mind. Now over here in the openers, we've got Alexander versus Vilius. That's going to be an interesting match. Vilius off-racing is random, so it's sort of all-racing, actually. Sausage takes on George in the opener, and of course, we've got Thunderslaps taking on Dino Man. Now, as a reminder, this is a single elimination, well, rather best of 1 double elimination bracket. It does not become best of 3 until the last 4 matches over here, which is the upper final, the lower what would you say, consolidation, the lower final, and then, of course, the grand final. So, with all of that said, we do have 3 players with a bye in this particular tournament. They'll be seeing their opponents emerge soon enough. And everybody has my permission to host a match while you are, as soon as it's available or what have you. We don't have any refs, I don't believe. So we are going to be refless in America, refless in Weekend Wage. And we are just about ready to get started with our first game. We're going to be zeroing in on Art of Turtle versus Smarty Cakes for our opening matchup. So I'm looking forward to that. Also, you, Sephirius, since you was a message sent by Lou Sephirius. I'm going to run again, once again, tell the players to give me their R check because I like to it. And it does feel like Smarty Cakes is going to have his work cut out for improving what's up here in this one. Big fan. Let's find out together who's going where. We have, in the top right of Macroglia, selected by Art of Turtle, the green Zerg. Bottom left is Smarty Cakes, our blue Protoss. Blue versus green. Red versus blue? I don't know, something like that. Worth pointing out here, guys, this match does contain some consequences for rank. Smarty and AOT are right up against each other in the ranking right now after Smarty's explosive performance in Tribunal number 4. Smarty is, of course, a Protoss main, and he will be going for a fairly early gateway. He has also participated pretty well in the Battlements stage, qualifying there to begin with as Terran. Did not end up scoring a dub versus Nebelheim and Shopkeeper Doug, but that's a rough group to draw. That was all the way back in Acropolis 3, so maybe he'll be able to get there in the foreseeable future. I don't think many people had him going all the way to the semis in the most recent Tribunal stage, but we'll find out. Pool into Kagrant here, rather Kagrant Pool Larvosk build for AOT. Smarty, thinking about a proxy. Is it going to be a Rogue Gallery again? I think it's going to be a Rogue Gallery again, guys. I think that's what he's going to be doing. We'll find out together. There it is. Rogue Gallery. Oh my god, he almost got his scribe stuck behind the rocks again. That was hilarious when that happened to his Vagrants, and then he didn't... You guys will see. There's a really funny game coming up that'll be on the channel soon. Night Fox in chat says that his money is on Smarty for this one. Yeah, AOT has been interesting, because I really feel like Game 1 of their best of 5, which Smarty did end up taking, was done just because AOT was going for that bait. He went for that tier 2 really quickly. The Zets are out here and they're going to munch on the Scribe. Nice really early damage there. Quaz will finish the job. And doesn't quite get too much of a scout, but not really much else to look at there. Legionnaire on the way. Now, will AOT check the middle for those temples? You know, surely it would be an obvious move. He's got a lot of Quaz. The Legionnaire can't really do much against that. The Rogue Gallery's already making the Kabbalist, and the Zets are none the wiser. AOT just going to allow it to slip the net. Now, he's dealt with Kabbalist rushes from Aoud before. He knows how to navigate it, but he doesn't want to get too far behind it, you know? If he can get into the base for a scout, he'll notice that, oh my god, you only have one gateway? Dude, for sure you got something else on there on the map. In fact, this should already be a little bit suspicious, because he does only showing some Legionnaires. Nothing attacked him from the ramp, but he's still not scouting that middle ground. It's very easy to go and confirm that. Map author Biddyby in the chat saying howdy. I hope he's enjoying that people are indeed using the feature of the map. Now, I don't think AOT is going to be able to get much here. He's in the main. He's figuring some stuff out. He's like 2 gates, and one of them's not even complete. Huh? And that's when it hit him. The Kabbalist hit him. Now, Zets are cleaned up without any kills on the other side. The Drolet's pulling all the way around. 3 kills and a lot of lost mining time, but they can get back to working now. And look at that. He actually cancels out the Vornath and goes for that Ovaleth, which is just about to pop. I think he must have built that. Yeah, he built that like before the Kabbalist even attacked then, I'm pretty sure. And it was just like unlucky timings. But it was pretty lucky to catch the second one, because there's no way Smarty could have known. So cancels the Vornath, gets back to mining, and makes 5 Droleth to catch back up in workers. If he just keeps going that for another few rounds, he'll be tied up with Smarty's workers. And, well, Smarty's thinking about an expansion, but it will be some time before he can get it up. And we'll have to see. Now making Vagrants from the outpost in the middle of the map. All that we needed for those proxies was for map makers to provide epic features for them to work on, and also apparently for people to not scout those epic features. That's what it seems like. However, this gas mining could be adjusted. Hydrath on the way for our Zerg artisan coming out from the embassy. Smarty recognizing he does lack a little bit of economic development here. Wants to see if he can sort of buttress that in with additional purchases of an economic variety. I guess we'll have to see. Expansion coming for AOT. Feels like he's zipped everything up nice and neat. Obviously, there's only one way into the main and Nat, so no worries there with the Ovaleth. Providing detections. That's kind of canvassing. He will just now arrive at the Rogue Gallery and see what's happening, but the Protoss move out is going to be spotted by these Zets. Trying to like sandwich him in. Yeah, he gets most of the Zets in the process. I think only one slips the net. At the end of the day, that's a lot of minerals gone and mostly just larvae, but it's still pretty good scout. It would have been nice to keep them alive. He doesn't have the Vornath yet because of his cancel earlier, so the Zetra cores themselves have a little bit of a diminishing return. This mini quads can deal with this ground army if you focus fire correctly. You really got to focus all your attention onto the Zealots that are attacking, and use the fact that you've got so much that they can't actually attack you with you know, a good surface area or whatever. But actually, AOT just goes right out onto the map and starts to attack the Rogue Gallery. This is going to provoke a fight from Smarty. We got more reinforcements coming in, and Ecclesiast is the first to fall. That's a good pick. Speeds everything else up, and clearly something Smarty wants to try to defend. This is a non-trivial amount of his production. The Azira cores coming out are going to make it a lot harder for him to contest it, and now the Quaz will be able to tear that gallery to pieces. Slowly but surely melting it in a simmering vat. I guess if they were Jaculisks, they would be oil instead of acid. Man, he's still harvesting inefficiently from that geyser. Nexus now coming up, almost complete here. Ardent Authority as well. Obviously, we're going to want those Positrons. We're going to want those Acantors. But man's got a lot of Zerg. And now he's already in a nice situation to shut down this Nexus. He might even just try bowling up the ramp. And can Smarty do anything about it? Starting 2 Matrixes and an Acantor now. It's like a 40-second timer before those can really ambulate. The Ecclesiast getting a ton of healing onto the Zealots, which are not being focused down by anything that AOT has. So this will be held. And it feels like maybe he should have tried to force down the Nexus instead. That's what he's going to double back to now with more units coming in. Might still be able to do it, but Smarty can use this as a bit of a timer. You can see he's splitting the damage up a little bit there. We'll keep the Nexus selected, but it does look like it will fall in the end. And this does force Smarty into a real awkward position. If you guys recall from their series, Smarty was contained on 2 bases for a real long time, and AOT had a humongous concave out here, and that was eventually just Smarty tapping out because he realized he couldn't do anything, but his opponent wasn't killing him. So AOT definitely in a commanding position now, as he was back then. Another round of workers just hatched as well to sort of thin the ground there, thin the gap. Feels like with all of that done, it's going to be really hard for Smarty to get much out. It would have to be a pretty big miss on the drop defense. And AOT, he stabbed pretty deep in. He should have seen the Ardent. He obviously saw the Embassy. So that makes me think that, yeah, these things are going to be pretty easy to defend. But it could catch him off guard anyway. Vornath coming now. Ski-backed also nearly complete. And only a couple Artisans mining the gas at the 5 o'clock location. Smarty Cake's requesting a pause. Night Fox saying that Smarty's cooked because his Kabbalists did nothing. It's a possibility. It is a possibility. We are, eagerly awaiting the resolution of this match, but it does look like AOT is going to take it. It would have to require either some, big mistakes from AOT or some superlative play from Smarty. Probably a little bit of column A and column B. And we are back, ladies and gentlemen. Headset died. He needs his audio cues. Understandable. He also needs to hear my commentary because he's cheating. No, I'm just kidding. Now the Acantor is going to go ahead and drop. No defense immediately over here. Oh, that was a fortuitous connection. 4 workers immediately dead, but I feel like this doesn't really help him out that much. There is a Circuit up here in the high ground. Oh, nice little wiggle around. He's killed 8 workers so far, or 7 workers maybe. He's now going to attack with a single Legionnaire just to cause more chaos. But they were waiting for him in the main base. Does end up getting it unloaded, but not a lot there for him. Gets his Zethracore kill, and that's about it. Yeah, a little bit unfortunate there, because even killing 8 workers is not really enough to get him out of this deficit. Zerg has a lot of larvae here, right? He's got 4 larvae. He could have more larvae, to be fair, but 4 larvae per 14 seconds, so he can make 4 times as many Droleth as you can make Scribes. Well, maybe only 2 times now that this Nexus is done. I guess we'll have to wait and see what ends up happening with that. Nathracore's coming as well to patrol the skies. Agroleth. AOT likes the Agroleth. Agroleth enjoyers in the chat. Just letting AOT and Zeke know that they can go on their own. Or not AOT. Zeke and his new opponent. Agroleth is probably very good low-key, says the Night Fox. Yeah, I feel like it. Now, I do love the presence of the Nathrakores here, because Artisans are kind of the only comeback mechanic available to Smarty at this point, other than just making a big death ball, and what do you know? Hi. Devastated. Well, all of the anti-air defense is coming up there in the main base by the workers. The Positron's going to be sent over there to try to defend, but honestly, the Calcure Lake's starting and Skithracore's coming out as well. Could we do Skith Calc? Is that a thing? AOT wants to make it a thing, I think. Going to go after the Matrix initially. One thing I will never forget is when we had... nice little cancel there. I'll never forget when we had the match in the Hit 'em Up hash where Alexander rolled Protoss and he was just picked apart to pieces by nothing but Nathracores from Tudor. It was so good. It was on Delusion. It was a good map. Good match, Cosmonarchy. Macro Hatch in the main. No expansion yet. Some opportunity for Smarty Cakes to, beat back into it. Again, he's got a reasonable ball of units here. And going mass air, which stacks up and can take a lot of splash damage, versus the Positron ball, does feel risky. It feels like a very risky way to path into it. Now, he's got Bactyls as well, which do pretty well into Positron. Oh, he's using the Agroleth for the Macro Hatch. I see. By the way, there's a witness in here, and I don't know what happened to the Ovoleth. It must have came with the army and died earlier, or maybe it's out here in the map somewhere. But he's just been showing his entire army comp to Smarty this entire time. We'll see if Smarty can do something about that. He's out on the map, but this actually feels a little bit risky. There are Vorvs with the army that can go for a surround. The Skith stack is going to be pretty quick to die. Yeah, you can see just how quickly that ends up going down. I think there might be a Charlatan with the army as well. Maybe not. Yeah, not quite. But it can be pretty nasty there. So the Scribe gets killed. No third base yet for Smarty. And now a little bit more of a setup here with the ground army working in tandem with the air army. Catches a Nath on the way out. Nothing else to report. Just kind of sharking back and forth. Hydra units are being developed. We got that third base coming up here for our Zerg. I do feel like he could just go for an attack here at some point. This little split area here like this and just try to shark in on top of things like the Acantor, which is what the air stack is really meant to destroy. And now it's just the Positrons here. They are going to charge down and kill all the ground army. If he can kill those Positrons before they can really do all the damage to the air stack, then maybe the Zerg can still clutch this one out. It does look like the Protoss will persevere. It's a really tough ask to use anything to kill the Positron while it's being shielded by the Ecclesiast. You know, Skiths do not do it. Calculisks might have, but Skiths do not do it. It feels like that was a great choice versus the Acantor, but you know what comes out of the same building is the Positron. Can't be doing that. Draken's stuck in the main base, by the way. That's classic punishing of the Protoss SimCity. All right. Third base is up. We got some Drollets ready to saturate the gas. Bactals being made. Not really a whole lot else just yet. Now the Protoss is starting to make things happen on the move. Oh, another Scribe goes down. Very nice usage of the Zethar Core there. AOT showing us how he can get active. 10 pretty wounded Skiths, but they'll help out where they can. Bactals are here on location as well. And this is a much more clumped up Protoss army, which on the one hand can be powerful, can be helpful. On the other is very liable to get surrounded if AOT wants to do that. He's got reinforcements coming up. All of his Skiths are starting to splatter. And it does feel like he might have bitten off a little bit more than he could chew with this army, but at the same time, we have to point out there's no front line left here for Smarty. Most of his units up at the top weren't even fighting for a long portion of time there. Vagrants are going to have to be the follow back. And instead, he just ends up leaving the base as a result of the collapse of his front line. That kind of shows you, like, that might be the way that we go here. Oh, another Acantor drop. This time with 18 kills, has wiped out a whole mineral line. Smarty is just lavishing himself in Droleth bits. Unbelievable. 19 kills. Well, there's a lot of larvae dead there. In fact, there might have been no larvae were killed down there in the bottom. Oof. This is rough, man. This is really difficult. How is AOT going to come out of this position? Finally, it will go down. But that was like 20 worker kills. Sure, the third base is here, but it's coming up now for Smarty at long last. He's got his Positrons back. He did go for a round of Zealots, although I think he's only got like 3 with his army right now. If we can get some armor shred for AOT, we can get the Zoryus, or even just making some really row cores on location. I feel like he can do some stuff here. He's going to try to micro with the Lyrilusks. I don't hate the idea. But I hate that he went after the Positron with multiple salvos. You really need to step back between each shot. And now he's down to 5 Lyras. I don't know where the other ones went, but he did have... I guess they all died. Yeah, he had 10. So definitely not what he wants to do. Fourth base going to be stymied by another Zeth. Good placement there from AOT. Rogue Gallery starting up for Smarty. Oh, another attempt at a base. Down that will go. Yeah, these Zeths have been really a big pain in Smarty's side when he's trying to get his expos off. Double Clarion for Smarty. That's going to make it so hard to get through anything. You really want to get the armor out of the way. If you're going up against Clarions, at the very least, for your own sake, please get some armor rend. You know, we need the Zoryus. Uh-oh. Smarty. He sends a scribe up here, escorted by the Zealot. Zealot walks by. Nothing to see here, guys. I'm sure the fourth base will finally come up. Yeah, there it is. Very far away, down there at the 5 o'clock location where the artisans were cleared up by the Nats. Man, AOT's really lost a lot of his advantage. His main base is essentially dead. No gas income really over here. He's only mining from the geyser, and inefficiently at that. This is looking a little bit dire. We're entering into that 16-minute mark, and it doesn't really look like AOT has a 16-minute Zerg economy, that's for sure. How did we get here? Well, the Calculisks can be kind of scary. You can see the Lyrilusks still just causing trouble. But the Positron count is enormous, man. He's got like 16, 17 with that army. I didn't even get them all selected with a double click. I've been holding my coffee for a while, waiting to take a sip. Instead, I just keep finding more stuff to talk about. The Lyrilusks are going to move into the rally point. They'll see the Clarions, and that'll be a little bit unfortunate for him to deal with. He could make some Nathracores, maybe just try to like right-click them, but you can see he's going to try to... Oh, no, one of them stuck. Could have maybe split the deck. Now, the whole army comes back for these Lyras. This is buying a lot of time for AOT. You can't lie. This is buying a lot of time for AOT. He is just moving across the map and showing you what he can do. Experienced players would probably be like pulling the workers here to try to stop this from moving. This would be a Nebline move, right? But he's going to see if he can break down the Clarion. Getting some damage on it is good. The Protoss have no way to repair damaged units, so getting a little bit of hull damage will make his life easier later on. Around a Droll that's just hatched. He's got a lot of Vespene. Please don't tell me he's going to tier 2, though. That's like not... He does not have time to do that. Still only on 3 base. The Protoss has set up a 4th. Zealots are now occupying the most likely extra bases that AOT might try to take. Some Zeths are sent out over here to do a little bit of a run by, and they will actually find that 5th base if Smarty's not careful. He's only got Scribes over here and a Zealot or 2. Yeah, that's actually a really solid move there from AOT if he wants to go that route. However, okay, he's got to know this. He's got to see the Scribes, and he's like, okay, yeah, you got this base. Let me come in and see. And there's nothing here that can defend versus this many Zeths. So this is another excellent, high-quality move from AOT, and his tier 2 is coming. He is going for it. So the Nexus should be fine. The Scribes are going to get massacred. I say the Nexus should be fine. Honestly, it might not be, because Zeths do a lot of damage really quickly. But I think the Positrons will clean him out. It's going to be a little bit close, but it'll be fine at the end of the day. Ecclesia's going to restore some of the shields. Get it very, very low indeed. And that is it. 100 health or so. I don't love the composition here from AOT, but he is going for tier 2. He's got his Alcag up. Okay. What is he going to make out of Alcag? Is it going to be, like, more air units? Is he going to make Plague? I really wonder. 5th base going to be canceled out here by Zeths. A great move. Again, AOT doing a lot there as he secures his own 4th at 12. Positron drop earmarked for the main base. There's not that many workers to kill over here, so it almost doesn't matter. Nexus goes down. I didn't hear the cancel audio, so I think that was just a full kill. Smarty's Econ getting taxed. Calculus getting caught in the middle is really big. That would have been much more harassment-oriented. Oh, but he goes for the 3rd base instead, and the Positrons are going to have about 10 kills apiece. Last one actually does end up scooting away, but it's pretty wounded, and, of course, we have the Hydras here as well. Pressure the Envoy. I think as soon as it drops, it's basically dead. Surprisingly, it actually stayed alive and went to the corner. I don't think it's going to get a kill, though. Especially with the... the Smarty spending APM on that is really funny to me. What a mess. Okay. Well, nothing over there at the 3 o'clock. We were just seeing Smarty click on it, thinking maybe I got to send my army there. His whole army went to the 9, so he could re-secure his 5th. He never went ahead and took this base at 6, by the way. It's free. He could take it. I mean, it's 400 minerals, but you know what I mean. It's not occupied by enemy territory. Now, his flyby did scout out that 12 o'clock had been taken as a 4th. And so he is going to position his army to do it. Has AOT built up enough forces now? I don't think so. He still doesn't have any armor shred. Evigralisks are going to come up. That's not too bad. Actually, you could send a bunch of Evigs down here, and even though they move really slowly, the Evigs themselves would be a pretty good move to run by, if you can do it. Just parking a couple of units over there, knowing that the Positron and the Zealot are probably going to be able to kill stuff. Actually, the Drolets are fighting back, funnily enough. Dude, I don't know what's happening over there. Trying to range down this 3rd base. The Bactyls are basically unprotected. They're going to fall back to the Zerg Shambler, the Scorched Cesians. And that's where you really can see the Bactyls pop off if they're allowed to. Especially when you're retreating from them, you're creating more opportunity for them to bounce. 12 o'clock needs to be reset to start mining again. Kagralisk's on the way for AOT. A couple of miscellaneous units catching the reinforcement wave from Smarty. I don't like this move from AOT. He does need to fall back. I would just sack the Evigs if you can. Keep the Bactyls alive. It's more APM to make Bactyls, so even though the Evig is more expensive, it might not be more expensive than like the Hydra plus Bactyl. I actually don't know that off the dome, but even though the Evig is more expensive, I think it's less clicks, so it's more attention focused. But he does end up getting some of the Bactyls back. I think he only lost like 2 or 3. And now he knows where the Protoss ball is. Do we have another run-by planned over here? I saw Smarty's camera movement over there. It is back to mining. I do start to like this position a little bit more for AOT. Vibrance is on the way. The Unitary Union did finish behind all this. Look at all the Positrons. I don't know if they can get the right surface area. The Evigralisks are going to take forever to actually go down, but eventually they will. And Plague is going to start running amok and start to negate that Clarion health. He starts to disengage, knowing that he really needs to watch himself there. Not really any corpse consumption mechanics happening over here. The backfill count has been thinned out in the process. Do we have any other units coming? Doesn't look like there's anything else on the way besides some evics, but a lot of the plagues have wounded this Protoss army massively. Oh yeah, a Clarion goes down and everything. Positron's just muscling through, trying to kill as many workers as they can. Man, Smarty's so close to having double the worker. Unbelievable. Looks like a couple of random units went to Smarty's rally point. Dude, how is this game still going on? AOT once again responding to a drop. All of his workers just being heckled and destroyed. Envoy will go down. There's a lot of kills on that. There's like 7-8 kills. Man, dude, Smarty is a warrior. And AOT is having a hard time finding spots to go to. He's got battle positrons. He just charged up into Scortriths. And, you know, Shambler. Man, we guys, we might be locked into this game for a while longer. 8 evigs on the way. AOT gonna go for a couple extra hatches as well. His stack over here is gonna be more than enough to deal with the Vibrance and etc. LOL, he says. I don't know what he's LOLing about. He had a bunch of zealots at 9 o'clock and he didn't realize? Yeah, that sounds about right. Looks like 12 o'clock must have been cleaned out at some point. AOT not mining with a lot of workers there. I get we probably dude the amount of missed Drolev kills is probably pretty high. I will have to apologize. And now Smarty is gonna drive the final wedge directly up the middle. The Zealot count reinforcing his positrons. The Evics trying their best. Even the ones that were wounded by the Kagralus Plague are able to stand the test of time. And after 23 minutes, Smarty Cakes cements himself as a Class 2 player. What an opening match, guys. What an opening game. Splendid. Wonderful. All right. Now, Alexander went up against Vilius and won, and that means that Ziki versus Alexander is the next match. Let me see. Oh, okay. It looks like Ziki defeated him. So we have Ziki versus Smarty Cakes as our next match. But let me see what else we have. That was a wild game. That was really cool. All right, I'm going to... Okay, Thunder won versus Dino, which puts him against Arbuz. Alexander going up against Ziki must have been wild, dude. I'll have to go back and take a look at that one. Okay, it looks like Sausage won versus George. I don't know who won versus... Oh, okay. Hamster... It looks like Ascozi was defeated by Sausage's Protoss, if I'm reading this right. We're taking a moment to update everything. Okay. So I'll host for Ziki versus Smarty for sure. That just seems too good to pass up. Okay, we're going to acid test for our next game. That'll be a fun one. Dude, the real test is not against AOT's Zerg, it's against Zeki's Protoss. What a wild time people are off racing and having some fun, you know? That game was so absurd, man. I saw some tech I didn't think I would see. That was really cool. The fact that I was like, yeah, he can't possibly go for tier 2, and then he does these like 2 Zeth run bys to cancel out bases and stuff, and I'm like, oh, okay, he can go tier 2 now. It's a possibility. It's pretty good. Okay, Arbiz defeated Thunder Slaps to put him against Sausage. So that'll be a match that's playing concurrently. The winner of these 2 matches, Zeki versus Smarty and Sausage versus Arbuz, will be playing in the winners finals, which is the best of 3. Very cool. Vilius was about to play against Dino Man. That's not the match at all. That's not what happened. Okay. Let's go, boys. We're getting into our next match. This one's going to be a good one, I can already tell you. Ladies and gentlemen, Zeki is playing Protoss, and he is our Cosmic Cobalt Protoss. Took me a second to remember the color name. Down here at the bottom right, the Magma Protoss is Smarty Cakes. So, Smarty defeats AOT in a nail-biter 23-minute match. That didn't hash, you know, humble brag. But Zeki up here in the top right, I don't know his Protoss. He apparently just casually defeated Alexander, which is good. You know, like, that's how you want your first test to go. He said he was enjoying playing PvZ. He didn't really want to play PvP, but, you know, it's only one match. It's only best of 1. Also, I did tell him if he just goes 4-gate Drac, he can probably win with Micro, which I think is accurate. Pro StarCraft 1 Zerg player. Played a lot of Zerg in Cosmo, and is now playing a lot of Protoss. I think he mostly got PvZ practice. He might have gotten a little bit of PvT. I don't think he got much Mirror. And I don't think he practiced against Discozy at all, either. So, we'll see how that goes. Meanwhile, we have some very interesting games in the lower bracket. We have Thunder Slaps versus Vilius as random. That's Zerg versus random. We have AOT versus George. That's going to be a bit of a one-sided affair, I feel like. But good luck, George. You know, a 21-gun salute to you. And then Alexander versus Dino Man. I can't wait to hear about how much screaming was going on in the middle of that match. We might hear it all the way in this match. As the bracket continues to fill in, thanks for joining us for Weekend Wage. We're raising money for a 2 versus 2 tournament because desyncs are becoming more and more rare, less and less common. There you go. And we are going to be seeing some pretty epic games as a result of that. So if you guys want to support the 2v2 initiative, get some ranked tournament stuff like that, probably be doing that in the month of March. But raising money for it now, so feel free to donate. Streamlabs.com/pronogo for that. Initial goal at 200, we might end up raising it. A couple Legionnaires for both players here. Drakadon's coming for Zeki. Was his plan all along to go Drac, or does he have a different idea in mind? Now, the Legionnaire can kill a Scribe. Yeah. This is an error already from Smarty a little bit, that he ended up using his Legionnaire and not like pulling the Scribes or pulling other Legionnaires or something. Actually, Zeke's just running it around like it's a Zeth record, dude. This guy's so good. This looks very normal for a start, like anybody who's watched a lot of StarCraft 1 Pro play, but it's also, you know, I'm a little giddy, you know? You don't always get to see people using Legionnaires like this. It'd be like if somebody had a Zealot with speed legs, you know, leg enhancements already upgraded. And from the word go, but it didn't do nearly as much damage. And he's just like pinging it around like a fast worker. So, very good. Very good. Some Ecclesiasts are here. The Legionnaires are going to be in... If they were in really mass numbers, I would actually say they could be a problem for the Dracodons. But it looks like he's only going to have about 4 of them. However, there's only 3 Dracodons here. I would actually say, yeah, 4 Drac is much better versus Legionnaire. 3 Drac is a little bit anemic. We'll see how it goes. You can see that with 4 Dracs, you would clear the shields immediately, so your next salvo would deal damage. Oh, there's the 4th. Okay. Maybe we'll get to see that. Now, this is a really nasty concave Smarty set up, so he's baiting Zeke forward a little bit. We do have a rogue gallery coming for him, and a couple more units at the ramp for now. Acetest is, of course, a port of Litmus, if you guys don't know. Oh, canceled defensive structure. Double lattice. Okay, he's going for the manifold so that he can try to break the armor of the Dracodon a little bit. I love the Legionnaire running in. Just seeing what's going on. Just saying hi. A little bit of a fluffed control there at the end, but Zeke sees all. Cabalist on the way. And he's going for a bunch of zealots himself. I see what his vision is. I see what his vision is. So the Ecclesiasts here for Smarty are obviously going to be a good point of shield restore, sustain, and etc. We do have a pylon coming for our Zeker, who is going to go ahead and drop that. You know, if Veek was still active and he was a really good RTS player still, you know, like maybe he'll be once again someday. If he was really playing top level, I'd love to cast Zeke versus Veek because I would call one Zeker and the other Veeker, and that would just be like a little pronoism. So as we pan over the battlefield, we'll see that the hordes are amassing. The Shimmer might have been caught there, but I don't think so. It doesn't look like Smarty really reacted to that at all. He has no detection, no embassy, or anything like that. So as long as Zeke holds out, his Cabalist can do a ton of damage. There's not even a static defense structure. A Bulwark is coming. So maybe it was spotted, actually. Legionnaire gives his life for the cause of figuring out what his opponent has. We've got more gateways coming. Love it. And the Cabalist is going to emerge. A Hierophant is here, so it was definitely seen. You know, when you look at this, you're going to want to just pick workers on the extremities. And a couple of the gas workers is a good choice. Hasn't broken Smarty's focus yet. And with the defenses coming and double Bulwark, excellent, honestly. Smarty's in the hole, okay? If he doesn't play very efficiently from here on out, it's going to be really dangerous for him. He just put down a lot of gas into his defenses. And he's still losing workers on the extremity. It's wild. His Hierophant's already in the mineral line. Looks like the Cabalist will finally go down, and now Smarty will trigger the attack forward. There are some Ecclesias here to keep the Zealots healthy. Struggling to get through. Doesn't look like any of them have fallen for Zeke yet. The Zealots are just going to be so tanky here. We'll keep the Zeke ones selected. A couple of the Zealots finally going down for him. And the Manifolds are helping a lot with their armor pen. Some of these Zealots getting a little bit confused there. Can he bust? If he can bust through the front here, we can be talking about a different story. We've got more Ecclesias coming and another Dracodon. The Dracodons have put out so much damage. And it looks like finally the well is run dry. Not only that, but as he comes out with just a few Legionnaires, he's not going to be able to do that much DPS. A couple of Ecclesias being micro back. Excellent micro from Zeke so far. And Smarty does not have the oomph to follow. All of his front line having died earlier, and so, yeah, he's just got the Manifolds. He's going to be chased down in the back. He's got a lot of Manifolds, it must be said, but they are not a mass unit. Kasuga showed us this versus the Escozi. You much rather have Drax. You can see him cycling backwards, and surely an Ecclesiast or two is going to fall here at some point, but I don't think Zeke's lost a single one yet. Keeping that critical mass. They do okay damage, but the biggest deal is that they heal the shields of a target around their attacks. So if you got a Zealot right here next to this Manifold and it was wounded, you're going to get his shields back immediately. Great for your melee units, great for anti-melee when your opponent is crashing upon you. So that was a lot of military losses that Smarty sustained. And remember, even though his military count isn't that far away from Zeke's, most of them are Manifolds. Man's got 13 Manifolds. Nexus coming for Zeke. Adding more units. He's obviously a little bit idle on his production, so he could afford that Nexus. And even still, he's going to think about trying to push in. This isn't very efficient. He is going to need to watch out for that. Dracodon is under some duress, but again, the shield restore of those Ecclesiasts makes it almost impossible. a lot of these units going down. The Hierophant increasing the attack speed is a great choice. That is definitely going to require Zeke to fall away. He does start to drop some of those Ecclesiasts in the process. But when they die, they increase your movement speed. So there's still a little bit of counterplay here. And indeed, as the last of the Zealots fall, Zeke might just stand and fight versus all of the Dracodons. The Vagrant's a great situational counter to the Hierophant as well. Its corpse doesn't get consumed until its final form dies. And so, yeah, a lot of units were bled there, on both sides, to be fair. But Zeke has a macro follow-up, and Smarty does not. These two bulwarks ate into his production. He's got the 5 production overall, and not a lot of bank to start building towards the Nexus purchase, unless he wants to start cutting production massively. He's got Legionnaires coming en masse. We do have Zealots coming down as well. No defensive structures here for Zeke. But does it even matter? Yeah, again, his Ecclesiast count is much smaller, much lower now. So you should expect to see his army struggle a little bit more to sustain in big fights. But most of the damage is manifolds. I keep saying this, underscoring it for Smarty. He does not have Dracodons. He does not even have that many Zealots. And a Hierophant from Zeke as well, invested in towards the back end of that push. He wasn't with that attack force, and now is going to help a lot in securing kills on these stragglers. He's even sort of using Zealots the way you would use Zeths to surround units in the process and cause a little bit of frustration there. Nexus now coming in for our Smarty. I think he knows he's been had here, honestly. Zealots pushing forward, the Dracodons ranging things down. And his Nexus, of course, is going to be the target. This is pro-positioning here as well, because what are you going to do? Surround me with your little automaton? They're not going to help you out at all. If that Hierophant could get picked, it would be a great pain for Smarty's army, because he's getting that attack speed buff when the Hierophant secures a kill on something. And there it goes. Down indeed, and the attack speed for Zeke just keeps stacking up. I mean, he's just been absolutely blown back. His Nexus will be attacked. He's only got Ecclesiasts to try to defend. Now, on the one hand, when you have ranged units like Striders yourself, like the Dracodons and the Hierophants, and you're attacking your enemies, they can't use Ecclesiasts to heal them. They don't have the luxury of that because, wouldn't you know, they don't have access to a melee target or a target within melee range in order to heal the shield. So that's another thing that you can use to your advantage, and one of the reasons why, when your enemy is going a lot of Striders, you either need an overwhelming amount of melee, or you need something that can just range them and neutralize the Ecclesiasts from being a threat. We even have some idols being added in, and those will be really nightmarish for the Ecclesiasts and the Manifolds. And I feel like even without them, this next attack force would have been exactly what the Doctor ordered. I don't think Smarty's getting out of this one. He's not even pulling the boys. The Bulwark finishes to try to restore shields every 2 seconds to heal 10 shields, but I don't think it's going to be quite enough. The last of his melee units are gone. The last of his ranged units are nearing extinction, and I think Zeke has done it. GG is called. And our top 1 player, our number 1 ranked player, off-races himself to the upper final. Pretty straightforward game, but interesting to see how long Smarty dragged it up there. Really interesting. Smarty in the said, please remove Kabbalist, LOL. Yeah. The fact that he went double Bulwark and he still didn't just micro the Hierophant in the right spot or pre-position it in the right spot, a little bit dire. Okay. Thunder was able to take down Vilius, it looks like, so that puts him against Hamster. And it looks like Arbuz defeated Sausage. So we have Zeke versus Arbuz. Best of 3. That's exciting. Looks like George has fallen to the art of the turtle. I'm guessing Alexander beat Dinoman. I actually didn't scroll up enough to see. Oh, that was not even... Okay, near impact. coming up for Ziki versus Arbuz. Map 1. I think we're getting into that territory where we probably won't be casting any more best of ones, but we'll see how it goes. Yeah, looks like Alexander beat Dino Man. So that sets up our lower bracket of Hamster's Ascozy versus Thunderslaps' Zerg. And winner of that faces Smarty Cakes. Art of Turtle versus Alexander is now going on. The winner of that faces Sausage. That'll be a good one. I feel like the lower bracket does seem like it'll be pretty cool. We could even see Smarty AOT rematch, depending on how the other matches go. So far, these games have been delivering. They've been pretty neat. As mentioned, I think we're kind of out of the best of one phase, but I could see a world where maybe like the thing is, AOT Alexander and Hamster Thunderslaps are ongoing as we speak. They just started. And maybe when we're done, the next round of best of ones won't be done yet, but the best of 3 would have to be pretty short for me to get out in time for some more best of 1 action. So I think the best of ones are going to be behind us now. We ended up just following the Smarty Cakes leg of the journey. You know, Smarty versus AOT was a very long one, and then by the end we were ready for Ziki versus Smarty, and now ready for Ziki versus Arbuz. So progressing quite smoothly this time around. Doesn't always happen that way, you know. Sometimes people don't show up, or that's usually the biggest source of delays, because we have a 30-minute wait time, and after that you forfeit map 1, which of course if it's a best of 1 you forfeit the whole thing, but if it's a best of 3 that can be an hour delay depending on what happens. Maybe we should adjust the rules or something. We're getting into game 1 of our best of 3 in the upper final. This one will be a good one. We've got Ziki, the maroon Protoss in the top left. We've got Arbuz, the midnight green Zerg in the bottom right. And this is near impact. Now, once upon a time, Arbuz would have been the Protoss, and very recently, Ziki would have been the Zerg. They have played a lot of Zerg versus Zerg. And here we are, you know, having a good time. Also, Arbuz mentioned that he didn't necessarily want the Zerg Fiesta, which is kind of funny, because he only played one ZVZ so far, and it was Thunderslaps. And then he played versus Sausage, and he won both of those matches to get here. And if he drops this series, which maybe you would argue he's favored to, I haven't seen Ziki's PvZ yet, but I would say his unit control was pretty good. His general unit understanding seemed pretty good. Odds are good that he would avoid ZVZ going forward. You know, I guess I could see a world where, you know, AOT wins out everything. But I think all the other Zergs are probably unlikely to make it particularly deep. Thunderslaps might find the Ascozy too demanding of him in the matchup against Hamster. Even if he does conquer the Hamster, he'd have to deal with Smarty Cakes' Protoss, which is very capable versus Zerg, as we saw. AOT versus Alexander, both of those Zergs, but one of them has to go up against Sausage and beat him, and then after that, beat whoever is in the lower, the consolidation final, if you will, the final elimination series. And then, only then, will we know what's happening for Arbuz, and that's assuming he drops it. I don't know. Who knows? 3-gate start, though. Ziki mirroring what Oya did versus him so far. I'm guessing it'll be like Zealot Ecclesia stuff. Enjoying the inverse of the matchup. And Arbuz has played against... Oh yeah, Arbuz has played against a lot of Protosses in history. So I'm sure he knows how he wants to navigate this particular position, going for the pool Larvosk into second Larvosk. He's got some Zeths out that he will use to some effect, with the Legionnaire moving across the map. Ziki just dodges the Zeths and decides to go in anyway. We only have one pair of Quas, so this could cause some flummoxing for the opponent. Zealot Ecclesiast already being built up behind it. I guess one pair of Quas will eventually kill the Legionnaire, but the way that I saw Ziki controlling it earlier was pretty good, you know? So I have a feeling that Arbuz is going to want to do something else. Oh, look at this. He's actually just going to go ahead and straight up fight. And the Zets are coming in to try to heckle workers on the other side. He has killed a worker. Maybe a couple more are on the cards. 2 more end up going down. The Legionnaire very close to death, but it's going to get its shields back. Arbuz trying to do his own moves. Doesn't end up working out for him. He killed 2 scribes, though. That's pretty good. You know, when Ziki didn't get any counter damage done. It kind of reminds me of when Ziki would be going up against Oya and his initial Zets would get a couple of scribe kills. It doesn't mean that the Zerg is massively ahead. In fact, he lost out on vision with those Zeths after the fact, so he doesn't really know if there's going to be any difference in the follow-up. Sometimes you'll see a 4th gate be added here when you're trying to go super all-in. Also, it's nice to know when the Nexus comes up, but you can kind of intuit that or estimate that. It's not really the end of the world there. And the initial move-out is coming. Arbuz is going to drop his expansion. A lot of Quas have just popped, and his Vornath is well underway. There's a window of time where Ziki might be able to get something done. His Nexus is also on the way as we speak. That wounded Legionnaire definitely struggling a little bit there. Nice cycle back with that Ecclesiast. Could have been focused down by Arbuz. Now he's going to start targeting them down instead of dealing with the Zealots. Oh no! He actually emptied a lot of his attacks onto that one Zealot. The reinforcements starting to cause problems. Arbuz making a pair of Nathra cores is an interesting choice. I guess he wants to do some counter-harassment, try to get the monkey off his back, so to speak, as the Zets start to come on down. This is starting to look like it could really quickly snowball into a very unfavorable position for our Zerg player. He can't get his Vorvs out because he just needs all of his hands on deck, so to speak. You can see him trying to shark forward for those Ecclesiasts in the back, and it's kind of working out, but the Zealots are just eviscerating the Quas. Here come the Naths. Now, by themselves, they aren't really the best choice versus Ecclesiasts, because the Ecclesiasts have guaranteed shield sustain, but you are forcing them to attack the air units instead of the ground, and so that is where their utility really comes in. Also, versus Zealots, they do reduce armor a little bit, and so that should be a nice and easy hold, but how many Droleth can we end up saving from the massacre of the zombie Zealots who know that they are sworn for, they are dead? The Ecclesiast going down, the drill happening to try to keep a lot of those Droleth alive. Looks like only one went down. Very admirable defense from Arbuz at the end of the day. And the remaining gateway units start to retreat as the attack is held. Zorka's Shroud coming up here for our Zerg as some Vorvs finally get made. Obviously, the worker count could be better for our Zerg player, but this is not bad given the situation in the game. Ziki does have a developing economy with that Nexus. And it's good to see that he isn't, you know, upset. He's not at all concerned about the idea of going into a more macro-oriented match, right? He even adds lattices for idols, knowing that air is going to be a threat. He's got a Matrix in the mineral line in the main, a Warden in the natural. Saves him on the Vespene there. Another Matrix gets put up on the more extremitous of the match. Oh, look at that! He saves the Scribe with the Ecclesiasts! That's beautiful. Eventually, the Nath Swarm will be capable of killing a couple of workers here. Shuts down gas mining momentarily. That's going to need to be rectified soon. Couple of idols on the way. Pretty good versus the Zerg in general, but they can be brought down by the Zorius armor, you know, just intercepting everything. Lake is, in general, pretty good damage. And the Calcure Lake is coming up, so don't expect these Nats to keep diving in. They might shark around just to see what's going on, but I would expect that we're going to end up seeing some Nathracores be made out of them. Interesting that a couple of Golems got queued up for after the fact. The gateways have mostly been running idle here, as it seems Zeke wants that Golem protection. Honestly, not a bad shout versus Lakes. Undoing some of the damage to the shields that the Lakes do, because whenever the Golem takes damage, it releases a shield heal around itself to all allies. And if you get a couple of them, they can obviously heal each other. So this feels like a pretty situationally good, you know, anti-Lakes measure, which is not a hard counter. It's more so that it just provides a little bit less damage to the Lakes. 6 Nats moving forward. And it looks like the Protoss are going to be leaving the home world so that they can march across this bloody asteroid. Nats are going to leave just as the Nexus gets put down, and 2 Calcs are coming. Matrixes are going to shut any attempted Nath run by down. Nexus will show up a little bit later on, the pylon first, as third base is on the way at 3 o'clock. A Zealot will confirm it. Good thing for Zeke to do here, just see that, and then maybe decide if he wants to shut that down. Or maybe he's just going to send 1 Zealot out to see what the response is from Arbuz, and then see if he can't pressure the front gates at the same time. Nats are probably going to come back to clean that up, and that would be a fine choice. I wonder if Zeke's going to be aware of what the Golem's purpose is here. A couple Zets kind of crashing in off of the rally. Not the best choice. It'll take a while for 1 Zealot to kill that, but it is sort of a timer. Again, the Nats can decide to return, and here come the Calculisks. Pretty quick reaction time for Zeke, and ooh, one of the Calcs even almost going down. Idol's continuing to just badger the, the Zerg units on the way. Zealot hankering. We don't have any kills yet for these Calcs, by the way. Yeah, sure, you're shutting down the mining a little bit, but... Okay, Lyrilisks have arrived. Try to break out of this position. Third base is on the way for the Protoss. Hasn't been able to be used by Arbuz yet. He could have hatched, like, you know, some Zets by now to kill the Zealot, which I guess would have just been taken care of by more reinforcements. They are indeed coming. More Zets are being hatched over there. A couple of Ecclesiasts have been, dispatched to clear that. Nats come in to try to kill the 1, but then more come up, and that will be a dead hatch. Looking a little bit dire here, but he can break out. He's got the means to. Lake is doing some pretty good damage. The Golems providing limited splash. The Idols are going to be the heavier hitters there. And actually, the fact that Zeke's standing and fighting here is pretty ballsy, but it will not pay off for him. You know, he already secured the kill on that hatch. He could have evacuated a bit sooner. Some Zealots coming on down after being attached by Nathracores. Oh, looks like we have a hash. We'll see if it's me as Obs. I did just select an Ecclesiast, so sometimes you'd be surprised what silly things can do it. All right, this is a really big amount of Zerg, and I'm not so sure that Zeke has the means to hold it. And it doesn't look like the hash even matters if that's the case. I got oof. Well, yeah, of course. Well, that's actually good. If he didn't get Zeke, then it could be that Ops is desync. Yeah, I think Zeke is, but I think he won. There you go. Zeke's going to have to go into the next round. Obs hash and all. That will be a first win for Arbuz. And Arbuz gets to pick map 2 as well, so that can be pretty bad there. That could be pretty dire. I mean, I don't think that Arbuz has a map in mind that like Zeke or Protoss in general are particularly bad at, but maybe he'll surprise me. Let's see what he ends up picking. Germination. He does like that map. There's something satisfying about Germination being a map that we... like for a while it didn't have the extra start locations for the other witness slots, and I finally fixed it, and in the lobby I get to like select it and all that. Finally, Arbor's turn to win a tournament, says Shopkeeper Dog. I don't know about that one. I don't know. All right, lads. Let's see if Shopkeeper Dog is right. I actually don't think I need to increase the latency. I didn't last time, and it was mostly fine. I saw a couple of hitches here and there. Ziki is our forest green. Protoss in the top left, and Arbiz in the bottom right is our salmon. No, tomato. I don't think we have a salmon. We have a coral. Anyway, tomato. Zerg in the bottom right. So, last game was, like, Ziki applied the pressure pretty well, and then he sat... It looked like he did everything that he needed to do, in theory, but he did lack a lot of dedicated splash damage, and only 2 golems isn't really enough to sustain for so long. He decided to stick it out and fight, and maybe that was just him getting a feel for how long that army could hold. But I think he's going to try something a little bit more proactive in this particular game. That doesn't mean that it's going to be like an all-in or something, but he might go, 3-gate Nexus, and then instead of lattices, he might decide to go for Rogue Gallery, maybe get some Cabalists to pressure some more gas expenditure onto detection. Arbiz doesn't really like to auto-drop in the way that AOT does, where he makes the Avaleth anyway as part of his build order. Arbiz does drop sometimes, but usually you have to force the Avaleth out of him before he starts to do it. Smarty in the chat saying, screw that Ziki guy, go Arbiz. Yeah, I get it. Looks like AOT was able to defeat Alexander and moves on to face Sausage. I don't know about how Hamster versus Thunder went. Maybe somebody can clue me in the chat if you guys do know. I know some of you guys are streaming the games and stuff. I guess I could also just check if they're being played on the ranked game mode, which they ought to be. I might be able to just check it myself real quick here. Looks like Thunder was able to defeat Hamster. Okay, so Thunder moves on. There you go. Hamster's Escozy experiment did not end well this game, this tournament. So, we do have the double Arvosk again. Fairly standard follow-up. The Legionnaire will arrive in the base, and the Zets will run past it. Looking very similar to our last game. So far, anyway. Actually, no Quaz as a follow-up this time. Oh, no, never mind. There they are. I was going to say, hold on, wait a second. I don't see them in the production. Another thing that's worth pointing out is that the Zeth run by Ziki had units to prepare for it, but he wasn't actively quick on the draw to get his scribes to drill. So he did lose a little bit of economic development. If he ends up reposting this attack much easier this time around, I think he'll be all right. I don't think it's going to be a massive swing, because even then I said I didn't think that Zerg was going to be in an auto-winnable spot, per se. Ecclesias are make it really, really difficult for Zeths to kill Scribes. It's already kind of hard for them. A little bit of economic disruption by sending Scribes every which way, but that'll resolve itself pretty quickly, and only one Zeth lives to tell the tale. Legionnaire came all the way back home. Let's see. I mean, Arbiz is going for a very fast Hydrith into potentially a quick Expo. Felt like the Expo was supposed to come before the Hydrith, and then he just felt like he had to pivot. Ziki also going to be going for that after these Zealots. So we will be getting into that economic sort of two-base game that we all know and love. At least to start. Match has also begun. Takes a little bit less time than the Nexus, so you'll expect that to pop sooner. Hydrith then about halfway complete. One thing that you can get bopped a little bit by is if you're saving some money and Larva as well, especially Larva, for switching out your tech, and then your opponent attacks, you have less units than you could. So that can be a bit of a problem. None of the Zerg units popping just yet, but a lot of them are very bruised. Legionnaire catching up. And once again, we're going to see this attack around the natural. Some Zets coming out. It feels like Ziki should have known to posture himself on the other side of it. And the Zealots are left without any support from the Ecclesias. Now they're going to ball up together, but the Quas are going to sink their acid directly into those juicy Ecclesias targets. And this attack was far less effective than Ziki wanted it to be. So he is going to end up losing all of those units. And now Arbiz is free to either make a lot of military units or just droll, depending on what he thinks is his cleanest route to victory. More Zealots are coming, but yeah, the military count very, very limited. Pylon and Nexus will finish at roughly the same time, and an Ardent Authority is on the way for Ziki, so he is indeed trying something a little bit different than before. I think actually Positron and a Cantor can be very good even versus Hydra. going to put down the Warden, and he's going to need to defend it with basically everything that he's got. We have all the Zets coming. We got some Quads as well, and a bunch of Hydras are hatching behind this attack. So maybe it's not much of an attack. Maybe it's more of a mass up. But yeah, 9 Hydras. This is basically like a ZVP bust in StarCraft 1, obviously with a little bit more tech involved and less walling, less a lot of less different dynamics to get here. But if you think about how deadly Hydras can be, it's much the same way here. And the response isn't necessarily to build a ton of Wardens, the way you would build a ton of Photon Cannons. But we are going to be lacking some firepower here from the Zeeker. His Ardent is going to take some time to actuate, so expect to see the Acantor be made at some point. Or maybe it'll be Positrons more quickly. They're cheaper to produce. But only one of them is not as impactful as it could be. This is a very heavy amount of Hydras. 12 Hydras. They can shoot through Zealots a lot better than the other pool units. The Scribes have to be pulled. Zeke can recognize that this is a very committed play. Behind it, Arbus has gone for more economics, but it's not going to be necessary. I think he is going to crush through, and I don't think Zeke is going to be as favored as he would have liked. The Ecclesias are all dead. GG is called, and Arbus, 2-0s to get to the upper final, from the upper final to the grand final. Zeke will have to fight through the lower bracket instead. And that, my friends, is the end of that best of 3. Melee mode Hydra is pretty scary because you have to kite back really far to deal with them. Super spooky. I'm definitely going to put up that AOT Smarty game for cast on the channel at some point. That was such a back and forth match. I better not favor my raise. Yeah, I don't know what happened with Hamster. I'd have to see the games. I'm guessing it's... I mean, he hasn't played it versus... he hasn't practiced it much before. Think of it as like... I'm watching my newest child learn. That's what I'm doing. I'm nurturing them. I'm putting them in the right direction. You know, adding more units to them. Changing them up every time. Over time. Okay. It looks like Smarty versus Thunder is still ongoing. Sausage versus AOT might also still be ongoing. We may have to wait a moment before we get into our next match. I'll go ahead and update the bracket for everybody, and we can take a look at it while we wait anyway. I can tell you guys about some of the details here. So as we see, we had a plethora of games. We have the 2-0 that we just watched here. In order to get there, we had Arbus defeat Thunder and Sausage, and now Zeke to make it into the grand final. Zeke will await the next round of play here. This match that we need the result of over here. Very interesting that Alexander was the one to defeat Vilius, and then Thunder also defeated Vilius. I have a feeling that Vilius playing random may have caused him to sandbag a little bit. Kutiam had to withdraw, but I feel like he could have done some damage in the lower bracket this time around too. Pretty consistent player. Now, further down, Alexander defeats Dinoman. I'm sure that was a hoot. AOT defeats George. I guess that must have been a longer game. And then AOT defeated Alexander. He's just noob stomping his way to face Sausage. We'll see how that match ended up going once we get the skinny on that. It looks like Smarty Cakes just started his match, so we could, and I suppose we should, come in and watch that on the stream. And just watch it from his POV. Now, unfortunately, I do have to say, listen, user beware, okay? There is a problem with this. There's a big problem with this. It's Smarty, okay? So, please understand that we are going to be looking at Smarty's screen, and that's a problem, you know? There's a problem there. Let's take a look. I'll go ahead and update my overlay, but please shield your eyes from what you are seeing. That is this is what an overlay. Absolutely absurd. So this is Smarty Cakes versus Thunder Slaps PVZ. And we have Blackwater Bastion as our map. And it is a best of 1. And we piped in around 3 minutes, but obviously I was busy updating the overlay that whole time. So it appears like Smarty is going for a nice like lattice mix, and Thunder has a bunch of Hydras. So, dude, I can't believe he plays with this filter on. What an outrage! Can you guys look at the minimap and for the units moving? Those are supposed to be hard edge boxes, and they're just blobs. They're like amorphous like worms wiggling through the map. What is happening? I'm really glad that it's only for one match, because I will actually get a headache. But I guess it works for him, you know. I don't know how, I don't know why, but it's all right. Oh, please don't put the gateway there. That would be a disaster. Marty's thinking about what to make. Just gonna stick it out on his current production for now, as Nexus is a quarter of the way complete. Personally, I don't like the production tab when I'm playing, but it is helpful for when I'm casting somebody else's POV. That's pretty neat. I also don't play with like the rally lines on or whatever, order lines on when I select something. So, a lot of differences. Cosmonarchy cartooned. Oh, I should probably close my actual instance of the game so that's not playing over in the background. We're just hearing sad Protoss music as we're watching Smarty. I swear it's not an omen or anything. Can we get Smarty Arbuz finals? We can. It is logistically possible. Smarty would have to defeat Thunder here, then go on to face the winner of AOT Sausage and beat that. And then he'd have to beat Zeke in a best of 3. So it's possible. Possible. He's got some units sent out there. Those are probably Sims to watch for the third base. Oh, Zealots, actually. At least the one in the third. 12 o'clock, I'm not sure about. Looks like it has less vision range. But that can be deceiving on the minimap, especially when you can't tell what is a hard edge. More gates being added as soon as he's got the money for it. Random Zealot gets caught by all the Zeths moving to the 9 o'clock position for some reason. All right, he's still thinking about the move out. Yeah, you can see he's watching stuff. There it is. Thunder trying to go macro? Unbelievable, dude. There's no way. This ain't the real Thunder. I think Thunder versus Arbuz would be the good ending, to be honest. I think that would be pretty sick. Maybe I can create a filter for my screen that unfilters his filter. That would make this a lot more tolerable. This is a map by Biddy B, by the way. Shout out Biddy B one more time. He's made a ton of maps that have featured in this tournament and many others. One of our most prolific map makers. Tim, Jujic, Shambler. A little bit from me, a little bit from Veek. Giving him the run around. Surrounded. Didn't stand and fight like a warrior. What if you had to use this filter to play Protoss? I think we would have no Protoss players. As a bit of a counterpoint, what if when Smarty plays a different race than Protoss, he has to turn this off, right? And then you look at that and you think, well, isn't that buffing his other races? Yeah, but he for whatever reason likes this, and so that would keep him as Protoss, and then he would have better tournament results because he's pretty good as Protoss, but he just keeps playing the other races for whatever reason. What is easy to the eye about this, Arbuz? I can't tell what a box is on the mini-map. You can't fucking see any shapes. Everything's just a watercolor. Get out of my sight. Call yourself an artist. Smooth and nice. Yeah, without any definition. Lacking all shape. Lacking any possibility of a silhouette. Can't read the font. Is that a 2 or a 5? Might as well have had the AI be reading you text. Yeah, I know a few people play with it, and I think you're all wild and wackadoodle. I can't handle it. Turns my stomach. Listen, Alexander, art is art, okay? Holy shit, he's got a lot of workers there. He definitely needs to transfer some. I don't know what math he's doing right now. Ah! That's what you get. That's what happens to you when you play with this filter. You don't fail your drop. He was doing like worker math. Hey, it's the second time somebody's tried to kill his Nexus today with a bunch of Zeths. Is that a good omen? All right, base number 4. Zerg will eventually break out and take another base himself, I'm sure. But Thunder's actually been on 3 base for a pretty long time now. So I know we're ragging on Smarty for his stupid filter, but I gotta say, I think Doglived also plays like this. What a wild... it's the bad ending if those two are in a final. There's a lot of Zorius here. Let's see. I mean, he's got a lot of those really clumped up manifolds, and I don't think it's working out for him here versus the Lakers. Bactyls are also present. That's a huge blob of Zerg. His positron count is, well, it's hard for me to read the wireframes in this sense, but it looks like 7. A lot of his army getting completely separated from the rest of it. You can tell on the minimap, sort of. Oh, the Akantar's blowing up is a huge loss. No envoys to escort them. Thunder Slaps is knocking on the door of a victory, unlike we've seen from him. There is a witness here for detection, but is there really anything to shoot back? Yeah, that Nexus is pretty close to dead too, so that's a wrap on the 3rd base for sure. He's not evacuating the workers yet. No, they're just going to die to Bactyls anyway. The witnesses are not giving him like a preemptive shot at where the opponent's army is, right? He never even set that up. Oh, there was enemies. There's Zeths just burrowed there. Wild. Reinforcing Zorius, just caught in the middle of nowhere. This feels like surely it's an easy way for Thunder to run in, but I guess Smarty's kind of like deliberately baiting him. His army's actually still right outside his Nat. And so if he ran into the Nat, he would have just crunched the army or something, but... It does feel a little bit weird. He just totally let his guard down off to that western flank. Like, surely there's just going to be an Omega surround happening. Yeah, he's already in the natural now with all the Lakers. Oh my god. I mean, even if this does get cleaned up, which Thunder is making a decision right now. He is deciding to push in, but he's going to get all the workers with the Lakers, it feels like. Well, his control could be better. There you go. He ends up borrowing the Lakers in the main base, I guess, in the natural choke. Yeah, so that was maybe a bit of a mistake. He's going to get some worker kills, though. Or at least force them away to that other base. But yeah, that was a very expensive loss for Thunder. Got baited in. Smarty was like, look at me, I'm overwhelmed at the situation. Whatever will I do? Call an ambulance, but not for me. Well, Smarty's still got a reasonable army, but he's back down to 2 base eco. Zerg hasn't gotten a 4th base that we know of yet. Those units never got cleared. Sometimes it's nice to just clear those, even if you don't intend to take the base, because it does make your opponent, think twice about, like, does he have an extra base here? Forces them to recheck it later. But I'm guessing Thunder doesn't really know about it yet. So he's going to be canvassing those other mains, see if there's any presence of Zerg there. Now going to be protecting that 6 o'clock, his new 3rd base. His eco is going to be pretty slow to scale up from this position. If Thunder can reset the army one more time, it's his game in the bag, but that is a big if. I have a random Agroleth burrowed there. That's funny. You don't really want to fight into this really small concave if you can help it, but the positrons did a lot of damage and will continue to do so. Very deadly unit, especially with 16 of them. No Clarions yet for Smarty. He's going to go ahead and grab his gas. Oh my god. He's left-clicking to patrol. Unbelievable. Now, surely Thunder knows about 6 o'clock. Zerg can win this way by somehow overwhelming the army, or by going out on the map and doing some kind of distraction play run by, 18 Zets would crush this base, for example, if you micro it properly. And at the very least, they'd break the defenses and force some battle worker. And it will only increase in value the longer the game goes on. Oh, we just saw a lot of movement at 12 o'clock. Smarty doesn't seem to have noticed it. Those were air units. He's going to have some advanced warning because he's got some presence over at 9. He's got that patrolling vassal as well. But he looks like he's a little bit busy trying to set up for drops and get his macro going and his production. His Clarions are coming now. He's going up to 4 Ardent. Oh, the Skith Horde is coming. The Skith Horde is coming for his workers. He's pulling all of the boys back, even across the map. I don't think he's going to be able to get much done here. He's already evacuating the workers, but that just lines them up for the Skiths. Holy... Kill the Clarion too while you're at it, my friend. Oh my god. Now I understand why they call him the cannoli, the new cannoli. He just walks up and kills a bunch of workers. Wild scenes. Now he's not going after 6 o'clock, so I think, big emphasis on think here, I think Thunder is... That's a lot of dead workers, man. I think Thunder's going to be all right. I don't know about where Smarty's at. He's his 12 o'clock just got cleared out, so that's the base number 4 for the Zerg. Looks like they found bottom right as well. They're going to kill everything over there. So Nexus goes down. He wants to put an engram in the mineral line? Oh, Smarty, no. There's like 10-second sequence of you trying to do something there. Goes back to gas mining. Yeah, the minerals are depleted anyway. Now, listen, the army is still scary for the Protoss. No, do not do that, Thunder. Okay, he does pull back. He's going to try to attack with the ground army from the main base. I don't think you do this, though. Maybe he can just go and attack the natural or the worker line over here, but your biggest mistake when you're fighting positrons is to try to kill them with Skithrakors, I feel like. However, the Zoryus are just tearing him asunder, and it looks like while we have a hash going on, this could be the final battle anyway. Look at the Skith count! But it could just absolutely explode at the same time, and Smarty's fighting for his tournament life, trying to hold on. Man, I can't believe Thunder did that, but I can believe Thunder did that. He went to exactly where the defenses and the army was. He used his Skiths as a meat shield instead of attacking the economy and killing it even further. And he was not able to make it happen. Kinda unreal. But at least we get to watch the real version of this game. Like, with all the bells and whistles and not with the shitty filter on it. Unless this last battle goes the way of... Oh my god! Unless the last battle goes the way of Thunder Slaps. I just don't think it matters. I mean, he's still got 13 positrons. Clarions are out as well. Maybe we won't need to worry about it because the surround is coming in. It's a pretty reasonable surround, but Thunder actually, he's falling back. I feel like that could have been an okay move, but I guess he only had the Zoryus with him. Now that Dog is mentioning it, I am noticing all the times Party has no fucking worker production. That's kind of funny. If the Zerg could somehow descend onto the 6 o'clock position now, that would be pretty good. The Witness is providing some good Good vision of the army, though. Clarions also act as detectors, for those who don't know. So, looks like we're going to reset that original third base. It'll be the fourth for Smarty. Got annihilated pretty early on. What is he at for this positron count now? 17 positrons. Even if your army was synced, I think it would be pretty hard to deal with that. The problem with people saying to give it to... Well, did anybody else agree? Actually, I don't really know. Arbiz said he'd give it to Thunderslaps. Yeah, it's a position that Thunderslaps should win. Well, Zerg should win all the time. But he just suicided all of his skiths in the fight, and that was still synced. So, I don't think so. I actually feel like this is... most likely, this is a situation where you just don't know how easy Zergs throw against Smarty all the time. AOT should have won his opener, for example. It should have been not even close. Now, let's see what happens here, because it looks like this army, at least, is partially synced. You know, he got the follow-ons from the Zorius trying to break him. He's got more Lakis coming as well. They're not burrowing, though. And honestly, that could have been synced anyway, because we saw Thunder not burrow his Lakis for a long time there. Got a lot of good armor end, but no damage to follow it up. It looks like the Protoss army will go on, and we will be done with this and have to re-go. Protavlers are coming out. That's a good move. There's probably a much bigger army for Thunder, but yeah, that's exactly what I thought would happen. Unfortunate. I do have to say, Smarty is a big noob and should have lost that game, but I can't call, like, I've seen him do that plenty of times, unfortunately, and still win. And you can blame the Zergs for that one. Smarty joined the lobby. I rehosted. All right, lads, we're going to get into a real game now. And we won't be cursing our eyes either, which is very nice. Alrighty then. It is time for a real match. A real proper match. With real proper graphics. Thunderslaps is in the top right. Is he Beaster Brown? No, he's Neon Carrot. And Smarty is in the bottom right. Is he Glacial? Sure is. So, Zerg versus Protoss. Thunderslaps looked like he had some really nice macro there. If he had just killed him with the skits, we wouldn't be here. We would be talking about Thunder versus Sausage, as Sausage has defeated AOT in the lower bracket. Let's see what comes of it. Thanks for joining us for today's matches. Hydrath Den on the way here for Thunder. He wants to do that as his opener. We don't know what he did as the opener in the previous version of this game, but Smarty going Gateway. Pretty interesting. People in the chat talking about Smarty. Alexander being a traitor to his Zerg race. Unbelievable. Now, Thunder's going to scout him first, which is actually pretty good for the Zerg. Does he want to do something more aggressive with this Hydra build? Is this some kind of sick early timing of Izira cores? It could even be Hydras, like we've seen Hamster do the four-headed Hydra is what we ended up calling that build. That was around for a little bit. He was doing it in Weekend Wages of ages past. Okay, Hydralisk number 1. Now this isn't the four-headed Hydra because he would have stayed on one hatch. You know, he wouldn't have gone to the Larvosk. But we'll see. He's just going to slowly build it up. He didn't get deep enough to see that it's a 2-gate lattice. That extra gateway was actually pretty far away. You can see the Droleth trying to lead Smarty to believe that his opponent is in the bottom left, you know. But it's those mind games ain't gonna be bought here. We have the Legionnaire moving directly into the top right. Oh, actually, hold on. Why did Smarty do that? What? Hatch Hydrith Larvosk expand. Okay. Hydrith Larvosk Expo. I've never seen this build before, so that's pretty interesting. Now, sometimes that's because somebody's just trying to cook and maybe they're burning stuff, you know? But we'll see. We'll see. Did he overcook or what's going on here? That's going to be Larvosk number 2, it looks like, judging by the gas count. Pretty defensive setup over here with the Warden and the mineral line. You know, when you don't know that it's Hydrith first, it makes total sense to do this because you could be getting Zeth run by it at some point, right? The Warden's going to finish as the Hydras are spotted, so there's no opportunity for Smarty to cancel that. His Legionnaire could have gone down. Might still, yeah, in fact it will, because he didn't micro it all the way back. But could have gone down a little bit easier. And now, he's got idols. Those are okay versus Hydrith, but he's building versus pool. You know, he's an anti-pool build right here. So Hydras are going to spot up what's happening. And they should have enough movement speed to just navigate out of here. Oh, but Thunder having a Brood War pathing moment. No, it looks like he's going to be all right. There is one Legionnaire coming off from the west, which is kind of funny. Thunder didn't know that, but still ended up making the right choice on the pathing. 6 Droleth. So, you know, these are his only military units. He's on Knife's Edge here as far as the... not the map, but he's on a Knife's Edge on the make worker or don't make worker. Also, at some point, Thunderslap said that he was 60, and you know what? It would be really cool if he was, but I don't think that's true. I think like he just filled that out on the forum, and I think he was one of those many people who does that as a lark, as a joke. They're like, "Oh, put a funny age," but I don't think he's 60. I'd be happy to be proven wrong. If I could play like Thunderslaps in my 60s, I'd be. And maybe I can, you never know. It could be a thing. I actually don't really see why not. As long as I can still move my arms. And use my eyeballs. As long as it's not a dystopian future where I have to control it with my brain. My physical characteristics don't matter and my soul is sapped from my husk. And I think it would be pretty cool. Shroud coming up. So it's Hydrith and Zorka Shroud. What do you even get here? Is this like Hydra Lake is or something like that? It could be really good versus this comp, don't get me wrong, but you need a lot of Hydras for the meat shield. And they're not really great chaff in that way. Their gas cost obviously precludes them from being a super chaff. Maybe he's going Hydra Zorius, but that feels like it's not as good versus this crowd control. One Zorius on the way, more Hydras, and he's got a lot of static defense. Dude, Thunder is he makes static defense. Like just in the way that he makes Droleth, he makes static defense. This dude does not screw around with that. 5 Circuith. I would love like a hatch over here or something to make it a little bit less attractive to just run past them all, but Smarty does not want to do that with his whole army, of course. The Smarty army in the chat, rooting for him. And it looks like he's going to go ahead and take a natural. Hey, this Lattice is not rallying, so he's missing a couple of idols. I'm sure he'll figure that out over time. Legionnaire gives his life to scout that, hey, dude. You got some Circuith there. That's true. You can't use your eyeballs if you play like Smarty does. Good point. Like that one movie, was it The Conjuring? Or is that a horror movie? Summoning? There was some movie, like an action movie about modern day sorcerers, and they would use their magic, and if they used it, every time they used it, it was like decreasing their lifespan. And so when somebody was using it for like stupid shit to like impress a lady or whatever, he was criticized for it. He's like, dude, what are you doing? That took like a year off your life or something like that. That being the subtext. So that's what Smarty's doing right now. Not the greatest control. 60-year-old control from Thunderslaps. As he's struggling there. Shopkeeper in the chat saying he can just walk up the ramp. Yeah, I think so too. And then all the Circuith don't really help. That's why I said I would love some kind of block over here. You know? Like a hatch right here. Maybe a little bit closer. I don't know. Your units can move around it. That's fine, but we'll see. Gas cap for Thunder. There is some crowd control coming, but if it's not a Cantor and instead it's just the Positron Ball, Ultra Core is a great counter to it, and we do have the Ulgorg halfway complete for our Zerg player. That Witness, by the way, is staying around over here instead of scouting in the main base. So Smarty could prepare for this and know to make a Cantor. Try to break down the Ultra Core with each shot or whatever. But he's not actually using the Witness that he's got. His worker count's also a little bit dismal, not minding any Vespene here from his natural, and no third base in sight just yet. Got the money for it. Maybe he's tired, you know, he played that marathon game against AOT, then he played a game where he should have lost, but Thunder didn't beat him, and then Hash. Now he's got to replay against Thunder. This is after he played against somebody else, I can't remember who it was. Oh no, actually, I think this was it, right? Yeah, he played against Ziki. I don't really count that, that was a quick game, like 10 minutes. I do feel like overall, the amount of Hydras that are being made, and you know, we got some Ultra Cores coming as well. It should prove to be pretty deadly to, you know, compositions like this. The Zealots will get cleaned up by the Hydras when the Ultra Cores are tanking all the shots, and the Idols can't shoot past the Ultra Cores either. So this could be really deadly, actually. Let's see what the move out is like. He's making 6 more Zoryus. Non-trivial investment. He starts to pull his army away because, of course, the Witness does show him what's up. And he's still making Positrons. That's still his idea. Positron Golem coming out for him. All right, Ski Backed is up. I guess we're going to go Bactyl here. Third base coming at 12 o'clock for Thunder. I guess if you wanted even more insurance that your army was going to annihilate what Smarty has, you would go Bactyl here. But Thunder is doing this without actually knowing what Smarty has, and so that makes it even more spooky. I'd love to him to send 1 Ultra Core to 6 o'clock. What are you going to do about that? You need to invest such a heavy amount of damage. But instead, he's just going to dive all the way in and go for the kill on the third base, which is totally fine, you know? Unlucky for Smarty is that the Zoryus came in as reinforcements on the back end of that. And so Smarty ends up in a situation where he's like, I can't even attack you from your weak spot where all the Hydras are or something. Thunder didn't end up using the ski back for anything just yet, so he might end up going like a bunch of skits or something. Still no Cantors. Where is the firepower to take down the Ultra Core? Is he hoping to keep his Zealots alive with a bunch of Ecclesiasts? I just don't know. He's only got 2 Ecclesiasts anyway in this army. It feels like Thunder is getting ready to just crush him, honestly. Base number 4 also going up in the background. A little bit of heckle from a single Zealot, but I don't think that matters right now when the Hydras are in his face. Positron's getting a lot of good damage to those Hydras, but it's melee mode Hydra time, that's for sure. And the Hydras are just shredding everything, thanks to the Zoryus armor rend as well. Ultra Core is taking an awful lot of pepper to bring down. One of them's loose in the main base. Yeah, both of them loose in the natural, rather. The mineral line. This is going to be a long fight. He's relying on the gateways and the matrices to keep him alive here. But problem is, they don't do anything to the Ultra Core. Unbelievable amount of damage coming out of those. And it looks like Thunder will be pushed back, but there was a lot of blood there. There's a lot of blood there. Okay. So the Ultra Cores weren't really doing anything very useful in that fight besides taking a bunch of damage from this army over here on the side. Lakers are going to set up there. By the way, 12 o'clock hasn't been mining this entire time, so even though he's got that base, he's not really doing anything with it. Zoryus are being peppered down. Not really likely to get killed by anything here. We do not have any other Ultra Cores, unfortunately, for Thunder. They'd be really good at, without the constant shield sustain of the double matrix, which really ended up helping out there. Wardens are a little bit better at dealing with the Ultra Core, but again, static defense doesn't really help you out that much. So some economic damage was dealt. Smarty does not have access to his third base, so his gas income is going to be a little bit stretched thin. He still has not made detection, Thunder, that is, to deal with the Witness. He's adding some static defense to the third base. So really, it's his fourth base, but he forgot about his third base. One Ultra Core finishes. 10 more Lake is on the way. He's going to have a lot of those. We're going to need to see him do a better job of burrowing. Is there a Witness with the army? No. And it doesn't seem like one is coming either. Positron drop. 6 o'clock being reestablished as the third base. Smarty just kind of going through the motions here. And Tier 2 is done with the Spire already on the way. So the Positron drop is going to need to get some good damage dealt here. There's circuits protecting the third base. There's a Spraith inside the main, but no anti-surface defense. And nothing to stop the Envoy from really doing anything. Like, you can just fly over the circuits, right? You don't really care about that. So if there was one Spraith here as well as the circuit, then that might encourage something else to happen. The Positrons in that Envoy are indeed going to be coming up pretty soon as the main army is also pushing forward. You don't need to be any younger than 60 to respond to that Ultra Core. It's not going to die anytime soon. Some Droleths arriving from 12 o'clock. That's going to give Smarty a target here. And he unloads right in the face of all those circuits, so he still ends up killing a couple of Droleth. But his main army is now the main target of Thunderslap's ire. And there's a lot of Zerg to deal with over here. He is going to kill 12 o'clock. It was just freshly established from Smarty's POV, even though we know that it was there for some time. And the Envoy dies, but these Positrons are killing an untold amount of Droleth. Now, will there be an escape route for the Protoss army at this point? It's not like StarCraft 2 where you got recall. In the way, like 26 Droleth kills. He actually drops the natural as well, forcing an evacuation towards that third base, which is for now protected. A couple random units pushing towards the natural choke. And choke might be a good word to use here as the Lakers pull away from trying to contain this army. Instead, the Zorius and the Ultra Cores are going to try to do that. There's really not that much over here. No, the Lakers actually come back up to try to finish the job over here. What is happening from Thunderslaps? What is his decision making? Now his third base is under duress. He's not mining. He is not mining at all. The runaround is real from the Protoss. The Positrons are at large. They've killed almost all of his workers. He's got 2 minerals in the bank. And I don't think his army is going to come through all of what Smarty has. A bunch of his Lake is 13 of them burrowed up there. Unbelievable. Yeah, well, I guess just like that, we're going to see Smarty move on. Thunder is having a struggle. That's for sure. He made his tier 2, but he couldn't actuate it. We've seen that before. Zerg player is now trying to go for it because it costs less time. Even though Smarty is charging into all of the Lakers, I don't think he's going to be held at the pass. He's got the Witnesses here for detection. The Positrons will deal damage to the Lakers. Not the most favorable initial trade, but there's still so much Protoss here. And, those are Automata, so it's fine. Random Zorius moving across, but we've got Artisans in the bottom left natural. The third base has been up for a little bit of time here. Thunder's just trying to droll back up to some kind of economy, so everything that he loses is like a loss he never fully recovers from. Witnesses everywhere spying on his every move. What do you even do from this position as Thunder? Thank you for the raid, Zeki. I saw that earlier. Appreciate it. All right. 10 mutas are on the way. 5 pairs. Positron count still looking pretty sharp here. Deal with everything except for stuff like Ultra Cores. I think I could be convinced that, hypothetically, mutas could counter Positrons, Because they can just dodge the projectile, they can go in for swoops. But it's so scary. It's like mutas fighting Archons in Starcraft 1. It's so spooky. A lot of Protathlors coming up. Mutas have been spied on, of course, by Smarty anyway, so not terribly worried about that. What you want the mutas to do is some kind of economic harassment, but there are so many units all over the place that Smarty should not be taken a fool. The Lakers were moved over here because they were expecting a different attack. They still end up getting a little bit of value there, but now there's nothing to reinforce this position. The Protathlors are not going to be in a critical mass enough to actually help out here. Mutas come in to try to keep everything off of the Lakers. We got more Lakers burrowing behind that. The Positrons aren't actually fighting the right units here, so the Mutas actually did a lot of damage. And now it looks like the Protoss army is going to have to fall back as the Protathlors start to amass. We might still have a game, ladies and gentlemen. Thunder's brought back the worker count up to about 50. He's going to lose a couple of these Positrons on the way out. I guess we're in best of 3 on Blackwater Bastion. So, to recap, Thunder should have won game 1, attempt 1 of this, and just suicided his whole army. And Smarty should have won game 2 and suicided his whole army. I don't think that the mutas are going to get much done here, thanks to the static beat. Yeah, every single one of those mutas going down. 20 Protath is kind of spooky, but there's nothing that can just stop the Protoss army from walking in my opinion. Artisans can turn and kill that one muta. It's pretty wounded, but I guess Smarty wants to drag it out. yeah, Shopkeeper Dog, you're right. It is pretty fair. We'll let the next fight decide things, and then I'll call it, because we can't just keep playing. Why did he send all of his army over here? What a lunatic. He's out of position. Hold on. Thunder might still be able to just clear it. Thunder's the one who went out of sync, so, like, from Smarty and I. So Smarty and I are still in sync, so what you see is what you get here for the army. Oh, man, this could be brutal. The witnesses only now arriving. Lakers need to get burrowed. Lakers absolutely need to get burrowed here. Man, that's a brutal line. Reinforcements can't really do much helping here. Another burrow from the Lakers. Oh, he's trying to move some of them forward, but I don't think that's the greatest of moves. Man, all of these units getting held at the pass. This is a brutal bisect. Some Zealot drops coming in here from Smarty, but that's inefficient. And now the Protathlors are starting to hunt down the rally point. Hold on. Look, Smarty's pulling all the way back, but the Rilla Rocorps is providing vision. Thunder might still be able to clutch it out. Of course. Can he make it through? Protathlor coming back. The Zoryus had abandoned their positions. The Clarion is offered up to the gods. The Lakers will do a lot of splash damage here, ladies and gentlemen. They cleared about 5 or 6 of them. But the Positrons are starting to drop like flies, and all the production is over here, localized to this one position. He does not have any production structures in his other bases. I think Thunder is just on the precipice of winning. This doesn't really matter. I don't even know if that's synced or not. Thunder probably cleared it on his side with reinforcements. The Lakers are going to need to burrow real quick. Or I guess the Protathlors will do everything too. That's fine as well. But yeah, all of his Lakers are getting cleared on this side. All right, lads. Nah, dude, Protathlors are super good. People just don't use them very much. That's 2 games in a row. Thunder had a humongous advantage by the end, where before it got out, he won the best of 3 of desyncs. GG. All right, that means Sausage picks map 1 versus Thunder. We have to say goodbye to Smarty. It's probably a Thunder Slaps thing, to be fair. No. Yeah, he'll figure it out. He'll be like, what the fuck? Pretty impressive stuff from Thunder, to be fair. Getting to that level of power is not easy. All right, Impulsion was selected by Sausage. We'll get our overlay ready to go. This is the start of our best of 3 action for real, not the fake one that we just witnessed. And it's more PvZ. We're going to have PvZ throughout the whole damn day, to be fair. To be fair to you guys. Sausage calls the BRB. Classic move. All right, players are ready. We'll get into our first map. Thunderslaps will pick map 2, and that's where we will go from here. Oh, nice. Internet's not terrible here. Sausage and Thunderslaps. Oh, shit. He's doing it. Thunderslaps, the Neon Carrot Zerg, is going for a 6 pool, and Sausage is the Eggshell Blue Protoss. Let's do it, boy. He played out his heart with macro games, got to ridiculous comps, Protath, Zoryus, Lakez. That's a pretty nasty move, you know? Like, finding out what Zerg are going to do versus the Positron menace that has been spreading out. A lot of Protoss gamers have been doing that. The fact that Thunder has maybe found a counter is pretty nasty. Also, I haven't really seen how Sausage's form has been this tournament, but I can tell you for sure that we have some scalps from him. He took it down George and then Hamster. Fairly basic stuff. Hamster is a Scozy. You know, if it was Hamster's Zerg, I'd be like, holy shit, Sausage is on a tear. Arbiz took him down in a ZVP, which is somewhat what you would expect. And then Sausage got the better of the legendary Art of Turtle in a best of 1 to get to the best of 3 territory. Warden coming up. Pretty open Warden. Wouldn't you want it right here in the minerals? Let's find out. Trying to distract him, but Thunder ain't taking the bait. That's 8 Zeths, by the way. 1 more pair after that as well for little stragglers. Like, wait for me. So that's a 2 gate. Better have some D. Well, he's got 1 Legionnaire. 2 Legionnaire, in fact. I don't know. I don't know if I like this. He's going to have to pull the boys. Oh, his first Legionnaire getting jumped on immediately. You need a lot of damage. It's looking all right so far. Warden starts to fire off. Legionnaires are going to start to amass. There's a lot of dead scribes, but is Thunder actually in a winning spot? I guess he's got the Larvosk, so he's got plenty of larva here. He's making more Zeths, though. Wants to go for the follow-up run-by. See if he can fight the Legionnaires. By the way, wasn't a lot of military production during that fight, right? Oh, Thunder. 60-year-old mechanics. That's going to be the new meme for Thunder every time he loses a unit. More workers back at home. Thinking about that at Expo. Please save this man from his breakdance routine. No. He's going to be breakdancing for a little bit longer. That's how he stays sharp. Is he double expanding? What? Huh? Did he not know where the gnat was? Hold on. Is he getting super crafty, or is this, what is this? Okay, Rogue Gallery for Sausage. Holds the 6 pool. Thunder's macro follow-up. Yeah, I feel like if you get to the best of 3 section of the games in the tournament, you're probably not... What? You're probably not going to be losing to the 6 pool, right? That makes sense. 60-year-old mechanics. So many 60-year-old mechanics. The mental image of all the Legionnaires like falling back when the Zeths were starting to attack them, even though the Protoss outnumbered them, was really funny to me. Now, does he click on this structure to see Rogue Gallery? Yes, he does. Okay. So he's going to be aware he needs an Obeleth. That's what he should be thinking right now. But he's going to get his second Larvosk first, which does make sense. You know, it wasn't finished when he looked at it. A little bit slow to it. There you go. Obeleth is only 25 gas now, so he's not going to hit him too hard. But he is going to want it sooner rather than later. Got a bunch of quads to defend the Legionnaires. OMG, I just realized, LOL. Yeah. Yeah. Oh my god. That's all right. All good. I won't reveal his secret. Looks like the sausage play here is to do a lot of Kabbalists. He does like his mass Kabbalist. It did work out in the end, didn't it? He's got 4 Quas burrowed here too, in case he needs them. Shroud coming. I don't think he still didn't go for detection. I don't know if he's going to have a lot of what he might need. Now, Mass Quas is actually really good versus Kabbalist spam. Because of, you know, ranged surface area versus melee. So, I actually don't think he's in a terrible position here, but he can't break the enemy. There is no Ecclesias, so the Bulwark is going to be used for that. Sausage just patrolling, you know, he's desync maxing right now. Now the Quas starter stepping backwards. Legionnaire is starting to falter. Yeah, he should focus the Kabbalist if he can. Yeah, one of them is going to go down. More Quas coming. I mean, Thunder slaps. What are you doing, man? You're just too good. Kills the Warden before it can finish. Scribe goes down as well. That Zealot, a couple Zealots here, are going to stay alive for a lot longer than Thunder would like. But yeah, the Kabbalist just can't get through all those Quas. Bulwark is likely to go down pretty quickly. He's still heckling units back up here. He's popping a random pylon. Bulwark will go down. Nexus is under duress. Now, he's only got an Ovaleth coming in production, but he's got that third hatch coming for the natural. He's got a bunch of units idle in the middle of the map, 6-year-old mechanics. Charlatan arrives. I don't think that's going to help you out too much here, to be honest, but... upgrade the DPS a little bit. Cabalist goes down. One Zealot's very low. He's still tearing down that Nexus with Zeths. Quas came up to try to do some good damage. Kind of absurd how much he's been able to make happen. Nexus does get torn down. Vagrants are in production. Sausage has a lot of money in the bank he's not spending on units. He doesn't seem to believe he's in an emergency situation, but I think as the extra Zets come up, it's going to be revealed just how bad of a spot he's in. A couple of Ecclesiasts are a good ad at this point, but yeah, I mean, just start tearing down the workers. Well, this is actually a bit of a throw insofar as, like, he didn't focus down the Warden and he didn't kill a lot of workers. So those units could have been a lot more successful in that spot. He's killing a worker now. But then again, he gets hooked onto the Warden, which just does a ridiculous amount of damage. He's got some more Zeths, Zeth Quas. Listen, he's in a much better position than Sausages, but he could have probably ended the game there. And now we're starting to stack up those Ecclesiasts, which is going to start countering the pool. So really, his strength at this point is in the transition after. And those Zets actually, I mean, they're not spotted by Sausage. They might cancel a Scribe or something later on, you know? He's just sent a Scribe over to expand again. They might do it. Yeah, he sends the army. He's all right. No! No! Sausage! It's off center! You didn't need any less efficiency at this point. Lake is coming. That shroud was made a long time ago, by the way. He was just full throttle on pull units. Dude, Thunder's pretty legit. Definitely some mistakes in target selection he can shore up. He, you know, same was said in his games against Smarty, but pretty wild stuff. Oh, Sausage. Matrix coming up to defend the inefficient Nexus. The defense of the inefficient Nexus. Coming soon to a TV near you. All right. Thunder has to plan his attack here. Ovaleth coming for detection is not a bad idea, though there's nothing here just yet. He's really trying to run right up into that so that he can make some space for his Lake is. By the way, the Bulwark does finish, but it's a little bit further back than, you know, Sausage would like it to be right now. Nothing is powered by that pile. It's a bit of a fake one, but it might draw some fire. Matrix getting torn down pretty quickly here. Zorius renting the armor makes the Zets and the Lake is a lot deadlier. And look, they just go straight into the main base. Lake is not so much. Let's see how successful these Zeths are. They are going to kill the Warden and now go to town on those Scribes. Sausage is at 26 workers at the moment, but it could start dropping precipitously. Front is slowly but surely going to be taken out. Surely it'll be cleared. Oh no! There's actually a couple of them are on top of each other. And so still ends up killing a bunch of units at the end. And the Zets are going to clear the Sedent. Oh, he's actually in here trying to go after buildings, too. He's like, yeah, I'll start attacking any old thing. Just add into the chaos, slamming out more and more Zeths. He's pure Zeth right now. He's burrowed a bunch in the main. Surely Sausage has noticed. Maybe not, though. Winky face! This is the Cosmonarchy equivalent of where are you from as the Zeths start to come in. GG is called. Sausage can't handle it anymore. The Zeths on Burrow in his main base, and that was such a ridiculous game. Thunder taking game 1 cleanly. If you could call it that. Okay, so we are now going to go for Thunder's pick. Lake is OP, says Sausage. Takes game uncleanly. Yeah, dirtily. I do that with the English language sometimes. That's not like proper proper construction of things. Ah, we got a crisis vector here for map 2. Okay, all right, I see. Big Z's coming out of Sausage. He does not want Crisis Vector. He knows Sausage hates it. That's why he picked it. What a brutal guy. By the way, winner of this will be facing off against Zeke in the next round. Good luck to them. I actually am surprised if Zeke is still going to be able to do some gaming. We started 2 hours ago. Usually we're into the grand final by now. But, you know. We had some delays. I had to jinx it earlier by being like, yeah, so far the tournament's going really fast. Really smooth. Smooth like Smarty's filter. Ugh. Here we go, boys. It's game 2 coming at you. Oh, yeah. I don't need to do that. Very nice. Sausage is the eggshell blue Protoss in the top left. What? What? Letter stops is the neon carrot Zerg in the bottom right. This is Crisis Vector. Instinct. And it looks like it won't be a 6-pool this time. So. Pretty interesting stuff. Yeah, if Thunder manages to make make it over Sausage, I don't think he has much of a chance against Sir Zeke. I feel like that's a little bit too tall of a task for him. But just making it over Sausage, making it this deep, is pretty legit. It's a pretty legit result. Sausage himself just recently fell out of Class 2 due to inactivity in tournaments, and also, being displaced by other players, like Smarty Cakes in particular. And so, the win versus Smarty, I'm not really counting that much for ranked results because of the fact that it was, it wasn't really a win. It was like 2 games that were just hashed. And he just had the winning position in both games, and so at that point, I kind of have to just expedite things, So that would be a very different story if this was like a tournament game in Acropolis or something like that. Yeah, we would always replay those kinds of games, but this is more of a casual event. I mean, there's a prize pool of $50, but I'll just PayPal $5 to Smarty. You know what I mean? It's not that big of a deal. And we have been, I know it doesn't look like it for this particular event, but we have been fixing them pretty steadily lately. And to the fact, honestly, the fact that we still got them in a way is fortuitous because it means that we got the debug info to some degree that we can try to track down what ended up happening and prioritize a fix on that. My money is on certain projectiles, like anytime projectile collision is involved, so that could be, not Lake is, because that's a StarCraft 1 calculation, but anytime projectile collision is involved for kinetic penetration, things like Calculus, Skithracore, things like Idle, Positron, all that stuff is still using floating points. So I think the fact that Thunder was going like Skith Calc and the fact that Positrons have been a mainstay for Protoss lately, it's not really a surprise. You know what I mean? Like, those are things we haven't gotten around to fixing yet because those are the most complicated things to change from floating point to fixed point. So we will get them done, and it will be before the Battlement stage of Acropolis, probably before the Gauntlet stage of Acropolis, to be fair. That's certainly a high priority thing, of course, but that does help to explain why these two players had some problems. And that's why I mentioned, like, game one was probably Thunder because of the fact that he ended up going for, like, he has the magic CPU that means that the calculations are different. Like, so Smarty and I were still synced in that last game, and typically Smarty and I stay synced. Whereas, like, if Smarty's up against like Nebelheim or somebody like that, oh, where is you? It's a good question. Yeah, I guess I should start talking about this game. Right the fuck here. Very fast Ardent for Sausage before the natural. Pretty rare that happens. If you go for like Positrons off the back of that, it can be a dangerous gambit because you might not be able to get to a critical mass. But I don't think Thunder is going to be able to scout this, and he's going for his own expand. Pretty reasonable Droleth count. You don't typically have this many Droleth this early on in a versus Protoss matchup. Smarty. What a Chad. Alright, the quads are going to get run out here. Maybe one of them will die. Oh, nice. 2 shots. Zealots are going to be dealing with some Zeths soon. Easy. I love the banter between these two. It's very good. Did you guys know that the Kadarin formation is 1 letter off saying Kadarian formation, and my first name is Darian? So it's almost the me formation. The K-me. I don't know what the K means. Zets are going to be able to make it into the main base, and this does pose a little bit of a problem because it's going to reveal the Ardent. If they stick around long enough, it'll even reveal the Positron. But he's got some units in. He's going to kill the Ecclesiast, which is pretty nice. Borrows the Zeths. Oh, no! Oh, never mind, it's fine. I thought for a second he was stuck. I was like, shit, man. Ooh. Oh, he didn't see him.
Zerg here?
Yeah, Zerg are here, dude. Oh, he found him. Just one, though. During this whole time, by the way, Sausage's entire army is running around trying to deal with that, and Thunder's just trolling. Thunder's just teching and making workers. What a maniac, dude. I love it. I can't wait for a number of those. Start heckling the workers in the natural or something. Alright, Khaz'Trith with 2 Circuits is pretty good. 6 pairs of quads. We got the hatch at the ramp there, which is a nice little connective tissue. Hi. I'm a Quasilisk. I love that it's just being annoying. Zella will take care of that just fine, but still, he's being annoying, you know? Now, the quads are doing a lot of extra clone to damage. The circuits, however, are just going to get run down. The Khaz'Trith being focused is a good move. Thunder appears to be focusing a little bit too heavily on attacking the gateway. Thunder, where are you? Where's your micro? Okay, now he's here. Try to pull the boys. This might have been it. This might have been the Kasuga style that just wins him the game. He's not remorphing, though. He's got 1,000 minerals in the bag. Thunder, what happened? 60-year-old mechanics. All right, can we get Smarty in here, dude? Like, he would never have lost this game. Still pretty even on workers, and he has the Shroud tag, so I guess it's not over. But this looks pretty dire, and he just didn't respond at all. Was he? Is he really focused that heavily on microing versus the Zealot? I guess he killed 3 scribes, so maybe it was worth it. You know, he only lost his whole natural. Ah, he's gonna go Calc. Okay. A lot of these Zealots are a little bit bruised. Not really likely to be able to move out from this position, but 1 base does not give you a lot of gas to work with. So I think he's going to go Zorius. He's got the Naths. I'm guessing it's Calc just because of the lake is on the way. It's only the 1 Matrix over here, so 8 Nath cores could kill that. Oh, he's making even more. Okay, yeah. So if he just goes for a Nath Cloud, that could be pretty big. But one problem here is that the Naths are going to be spotted by Sausage here. They should have been, anyway. He might not have been watching the mini-map. Unitary at the natural. And it looks like he's going to once again try to see if he can focus his way forward. Nats are going to get on top of this. Cause some trouble. Oh, actually they don't. They just kind of show themselves for only a moment. He's got more where that came from. He's going to make the calcs over here at home. And these Nats are still going to just be looking around for damage. Okay. I mean, if he can somehow get to a point where he has mass calc, like he's got, like, what? If he can get 20 calcs, I'll give him the game, to be honest. I think just like that, it's a very advantaged position. That's a really hard death ball for the Protoss to even approach, because the Positrons do not stay alive long enough. I mean, he could go for an Ardent, maybe a Vibrance off the Unitary. That could be another thing, but yeah, it's hard to say with any degree of certainty. Oh no, the Acantor is out here doing nothing. A whole lot of nothing. Servitor goes down. And down goes the Acantor. That is not what you wanted to see. Oh, but you also don't want to see all the calcs right on top of ground units so that the Positrons get maximum damage. Oh my god, don't do it, Thunder. No, they're all going to die in 1 hit. Oh my god. They all died. Everything died. It all exploded. Zerg might still be able to push him back, but that was a lot of gas down the drain, and he has no macro follow-up here with only 1 base. Meanwhile, Crucible empowering production off here. He's got Wardens in the main. He's got 3 Matrixes, and his Unitary is producing an Assilient. Yeesh. I think we might be going to game 3 here, boys. I don't think Sausage is going to be dropping this one, but I've been wrong before. I've called games too early before. Not today, though. Just before. Triple gate for Sausage. He's going to just scale up that basic unit production around the Crucible. I dig it. I guess he's going Assilient to try to chew through the Zorius a little bit more, which does make some sense. Really, Rokors absorb the projectile of the Acantor, so they don't always do as much damage to the Zorius as you would want. Some Lyrilisks are here as well, try to chew through that front line. Slowing down the attack speed with all of the Zorius fodder that's spawning, but not actually doing any damage to the Positrons is kind of a sign of the times here. He's got another round of Nathricors, but no gas to turn him into Calcs. My guy is on the precipice of being sawed in half by Zealot Blades. Thinking about maybe taking an extra base? I don't think so, buddy. Chadwalk right in there. He cancels that one out. 3rd base on the way for Sausage at the double gas location, no less. And he's got a horde of Naths that have no future. Assilient trying to make its shots happen. He's got the 1 calc. The 1 calc in a dream. Oh, man. It is not looking good, boys. In fact, it is looking bad. Zealots are going to break through this hatch. surely, eventually, it will go down. He makes a bunch of calcs, well, 4. His one calc has done some damage. But he has no other units here. He has surely been routed, surely, as the hatch falls, and the gnats descend to hell. All those calcs, the cocoons are wounded. The cocoons are wounded. GG has got to be called, and Sausage forces a game 3, which, due to his higher seed, he will pick the map. Wild. And maybe not what I thought would happen. A very entertaining game 1, and then 1,000 minerals in the bank, no micro at the front gate, trying to deal with 1 zealot with 2 zets or whatever. I got 3 kills. I lost my natural. That was unfortunate. At that point, after that point, I don't think you can really complain too much about anything. You can't say, "Oh, dude, you should have done this. You should have done that." I can't tell him, like, make sure to, next time you don't charge onto the positrons with your gnats. Slapped. See what happens. GLHF exchanged. And we are going to near impact for our next round. Thunderslaps is in the top left as our Neon Carrot Zerg, who wasn't mining for a little bit there. Sausage is the Eggshell Blue Protoss. Our routing here is Canada, USA, Peru. Just so you guys know. Thunderslaps from Canada. I believe he's living there anyway. You don't always have to live exactly where you were born. You can move around. For example, I moved 1 state up. That's it. So far. Gateway on the way for our Sausage. Not interested in any lattice openers. Not going to bring what Nebline brought to bear in the Tribunal stage to face Thunder with. And I understand why. There's that Hydrith opener again. He did this versus Smarty Cakes. I guess his idea is to build like 4 Hydras and then expand behind it and make a lot of Droleth. That seems to be the thought process anyway. It's just admiring a Jujic tile. I love this map too. It's a good one. Feels like it gives us pretty good games. Larvos coming up as the follow-up here for Thunder. Fighting. Tell him off. Get him out of here. So it's actually going to be an Izira core pretty early on. I'm talking about stuff like this here with the minerals just kind of on an asteroid, or in this case a platform. Pretty neat. I guess they could literally just be floating, but it would look a little bit wonky. Speaking of wonky, I'm really not sure what the build order here is going to give Thunder. Last time I think he did double Larvosk and then went into an expand behind it. This time it looks like he might be expanding before his double Larvosk. Though it's not the most efficient use of his gas, as you can see. He won't have the expenditure in time. Gonna be a lot of Dracodons out of Sausage. I think Mass Hydra does beat that, but we'll see what we get, as Thunder is just rolling for now, keeping pace with his opponent. Personally, I don't like building a defensive structure in the mineral line as Protoss before my Nexus, but Thunder is a weird character, and so, curiously enough, that Legionnaire comes up, gets chased around, and so the expansion doesn't get scouted. He has every right to think that there might be some kind of really ridiculous Hydra-based all-in. Unfortunately, the Azir core is now kind of marked for death. Hydras just have to hightail it out of there. But at least Thunder does scout that his opponent is moving across the map. Whether he would have moved across the map or not immediately seen. Okay, the pool follow-up. So I thought that might have been what that is, considering the lack of gas in the player's bank when that happened. Just adding more Hydras for now. His second Larvosk is nearly complete. I think with some reinforcements, he should be just fine. Striders are pretty expensive, so it's hard to get a lot of them. He's going to try to pelt that egg. No cancel. SMH. No cancel again? 60-year-old mechanics. Just going to be massing out some Hydras and some Azir cores. Larva gets focused down by Sausage. It's a pretty good move. Though honestly, you're denying yourself the free cancel. Now the Hydras come out towards the tail end of the Hatch's lifespan. A little bit before the next round of units. Zealots are going to be focused down. Their shields are both down. Yeah, that Hatch is dead. Almost assuredly, especially since Thunder's still hemming and hawing when he could be attacking with the cliff advantage. Going after that egg. Ooh, no, he goes back for it, but he might lose the Hierophant for that little move. Thunder losing a couple of Hydras. Azir Core's blocking the Hydra from retreating. Are we going to see any Protoss casualties at all? The Hatch will go down. Oh, man. Thunder's really Sausage is really over-indexing and killing the egg. Thankfully, his units will just automatically kill the Hatch here. Azir cores are going to help pelt down the shields of the Zealots, but the Hydras are struggling here. There's no attack speed increase coming from the Hierophant. It's not hitting the same target enough times. And now with all those Zealots gone, the Hydras will start to outscale the army. One base Ardent from Sausage. He cancels out the extra production from the Hatch. We don't have any other production from our Zerg player either. Two more Striders coming back. Nexus. And he's just going to try to hold within a Cantor. I think with enough Hydras, you can actually outwit that. Zeth's coming as a follow-up as well. Hold on. Envoy. Okay, it's going to be in a Cantor drop, which actually makes the defense a lot harder for Sausage here. Just letting his Azir core tank as much as he can. Now starting to fall away. He's got Zets coming in. And he is going to send them forward. Losing that Hydra is a little bit unfortunate, though. He'll trade it for two Zealots. I suppose that's okay. Yeah, the Acantor cannot leave the base. No micro away from the incoming projectile is a little bit awkward. Oh no! Sausage, beware. Good dodge. Draken's starting to fall. That's a good one. The Azir core actually gets right in the way. He's microing the Acantor as best he can, but he's losing out on all other units. Now he can just try to stutter step while more units come out, producing a lot of Hydras. Where's the military production? He's got a second Acantor coming. That's a nice connection. It's all going to be down to the Envoy Acantor micro. The pylons start to crumble around him. Zets are going to just go right after those Acantors, though. Well, I guess if you've got enough of them, it doesn't really matter, though. The second Acantor is a huge power spike for this kind of position. No expansion has been taken, but Thunder's going to think about it now. He will lose these Hydras as he's busy macroing at home. Quite the slap fight. Quite the slap fight. Let's collect ourselves here. Hatch on the way. A lot of Zeths coming. He knows that the Envoy will go across the map now that the initial danger is done and an Acantor is still here. Second one also. I feel like Thunder is on a time to life here. If the Zets move across the map, that's great. If the Hydras can defend against the drop that he should know is coming, that's also great. But he's not pulling back, and he doesn't have any units in production. He has nothing to defend himself, and he's already halfway across the map. He's now pulling back? After all that? Oh my goodness. For heaven's sake. 12 workers, by the way. Unbelievable. Well, at least Sausage didn't spend any money during that time. Scribe's coming. Positron's coming. Zeke's not even watching this. He's like, yeah, I'm just going to clown on whoever comes through to face me. There is no chance that Matrix Zealot Ecclesiast Cantor loses to what we have here on screen from the Zerg. His hatch is done. He can make more Droleth. He needs to make more Droleth. But I think Sausage is just going to roll across the map and finish the job. Especially with those Positrons starting to come out. Adding all those gateways in the Crucible. Yeah, that sounds about right. Definitely a rough time for Thunder. His game 1 was really good. And then in game 2, he just over-indexed on anti-Zealot micro and lost his whole natural during the process. Game 3, so far the tail has been the Acantor. And no canceling on his Hydras or whatever. You know, it's a small thing, but he did lose like 3 or 4 full units without getting any money back. Oh, there. Down goes 3 workers. Ah, another one. Oof. It's really funny because Sausage does micro that really hard, and then he just doesn't have any units in production. He just now starts up 5 Zealots, queues up some Servitors. I still think he's got it, though. I mean, the Acantor didn't even really need to do that, and it still would have been pretty deadly. The tech to actually deal with what Thunder is up against is not really here. Huh? I agree with Arbiz. He can't just A move and win. Oh dear. The brutality. It's commencing. The Envoy is still alive. The Hydras could be attacking it, but they're not. Well, the Zealots are kind of getting cleaned up. The Hatch absorbing so much pressure. Will eventually die. Oh, can't find an unload spot. Finally it does, but even then, another one crawled across the map the whole way through. Reduced to controlling 1 Hydra in the face of this entire Protoss warband. Sausage avenges Smarty, and this is the end of the series. GG Grats, and Thunder bows out. So now we have Zeke's opponent, another Protoss player, PvP. We'll see how that one goes. I gotta say, what Hamster said in the Weekend Wage chat just now, nice run from Thunder. Wasn't expecting it. And it will be Atacama, game 1 here from Zeke. Interesting choice. This is the lower final. Winner will face Arbuz for the top spot. And I will use the bathroom real quick, so when I return, we'll get into our game. BRB. Hello, I am back. And we are ready to get into our next game. Let's do it, boys. Ladies and gentlemen, it is time for Atacama to begin our proceedings here in a best of 3. I'll change the map name to what it really truly is. This is a PvP, best of 3, and Zeki's going to have to make it do in an unfamiliar matchup. He took down Smarty, who we would rate as a higher-ranked Protoss than Sausage, but playstyle differences do exist, so I'm interested in seeing where we go from here. Mahogany Protoss, it is Zeki. Sausage is down here as the Lemon Protoss in the bottom right, and Zeki, of course, in the bottom left, so horizontal spawns across the lower lateral line. It's going to be time for action. Scout for Sausage, going top right. Best of 3 indeed. Sausage will pick map 2. Zeki will pick map 3 if we go there. Looks like 2 gate for both players, with Zeki marginally ahead on timing, but that doesn't really matter. Zeki actually cut a worker at some point to fill that in, so maybe that does matter. But Sausage was definitely up against the Goliath here. You know, he's the David. We'll have to see how that works out. Looks like there was some PvZ practice that he was getting versus Art of Turtle, so Zeki is well matured in that matchup now. But we'll see what he wants to do. And I can check in with those games as well while we were waiting. It looks like Zeki beat AOT in a couple of those games, actually. So, interesting stuff there. Yeah, it was a pair of games against AOT. Got some practice in, got some dubs. Were they long games? One of them was about 11 minutes, and another was 10 and a half. So, Yeah, some okay warm-ups to get back into it. He was waiting a long time for everything to shake down in the lower bracket. He will go ahead and kill Sausage's scout. At least now Sausage knows the location of his opponent. Honestly, the lemon color looks pretty good on Protoss, doesn't it? Put that in your pipe and hash it. Ah, got him. Got him. Reminds me of when Biddy B asked Grunch if he hashes. Like, you hash? As in, did we? But Grunch just said sometimes. That was really good. It was one of my favorite moments. My favorite desync moments. Definitely one of them. Alright, Legionnaire Ecclesiast, and he's going Rogue Gallery. Zeke, on the other hand, 3-gate into Embassy. And he's got just a small band of units. This is a lot more Legion for Zeke to deal with. We'll see if he can make it happen. Good fadeaway shot to kill a couple of the Legionnaires. Also a little bit of a distraction for a moment. Allows him to avenge his Zealot with another... Oh, he didn't even lose the Zealot. It's pretty close to it. I don't think he should stick around. In fact, I think, you know, chasing for that Legionnaire in some ways is a little bit of greed. But Zeke even trying to fight after that, yeah, he's learned his lesson there. A Witness is on the way. He's going for Zealot Drac behind it. He's got some reinforcements. He has Striders. So he should have the DPS to hold this off. No problems. No questions asked. We don't have a Kabbalist yet. So let's see what happens here. Apologies for the slapdash camera control. I was checking to see if there was a Kabbalist on the way. The Hierophant gets dove on. Very good choice. Looks like it might have been traded down on both sides indeed. And so they dive for each other's Hierophant, which is not a bad move. Now the Witness is going to be sticking with the army, it looks like. Just going to scout the same lateral line, actually. So, you know, if the Kabbalist just leaves the base looking for action, as one of them is on the way, that will be certainly an option. Yeah, it's just rallied directly across the map. So some Zealots are going to be sighted. Zealot Drac on the other side. Yeah, Zeke's going to be pretty happy with that. The Witness is going to dive in, and Sausage knows. And Zeke should have just seen the Kabbalah slip the net. He can always click on stuff. When you detect things in Cosmonarchy, you can click on them, and even if they're an enemy structure, they will show you what they're building and what the progress bar is. You also can see like enemy energy. Yeah, a lot of details that you can't normally see. If you click on a transport, you get to see what's in the transport, you know? Ooh, nice little body blocks here while he waits for the Witness to come back. One scribe is all you'll get. Have to be shown the door. If the Hierophant was still a little bit closer to the Kabbalist, he could have guaranteed the kill there, but not quite to be. Next is a little bit faster for Zeke, and Sausage starts to scale it up. He's got his own embassy coming. Switches off the Kabbalist into Barghest. We saw that stutter on the animation means a cancel of whatever unit was being made. Probably another Kabbalist if we had to speculate. I think there still was a second one made at some point. Yeah, he's got 2 of them. They can be pretty surprisingly effective in combat. I mean, you can see they clear out the Zealot's shields. Yeah, 3 hits, and he's basically dead. You know, walking wounded. But you do need to have the ability to micro them back or find some other way to safeguard them. You know, like Kabbalist Ecclesiast is a really gas-intensive build, but maybe it could work. I have a feeling it would get outscaled by other comps, though. Oh, he's got his own Kabbalist. Now, there was an embassy made for Sausage. But does he have a Witness? I don't know. I haven't been able to spot one yet. Unless it's just dancing with the army and I can't see it. But it doesn't look like it. Yeah, it looks like the embassy was made and nothing was made out of it. He's got a bulwark on both spots? What is this for? Some interesting choices here. And there it is. The Kabbalist ends up going in. Sausage now going to have to deal with that. Yeah, I don't think that's what you want to do. And Sausage abandons his post at Zeke's natural. The walk of shame all the way back to the base. And yeah, there's a matrix over here, but you can't really safeguard your scribes. Oh, look at that. Gave him a target and everything. Now a Witness is coming, but this is after 5 kills. And Zeke had a worker lead anyway, due to the faster second Nexus. Oof. These guys not mining for this whole time as well. Oh, oh, oh! Got pranked by the angle. Brood Warp having moment. Man, that's brutal. Decides to give it up after that. 6 worker kills. Very good Kabbalist. Much more efficient. Much more effective than the 1 worker kill that Sausage got. Now he puts down some Wardens and he knows he's been backed against a corner. The Barghests will help with Armor Pen versus the Striders and the Zealots. Ecclesiasts are in pretty good number here. Witness on both sides, so we might end up seeing some wars over that. Not that it matters too much for detection initially. And the Zealot's getting a great concave initially, so Zeke has a great start to the fight. The Hierophants aren't able to stack up their debuff just yet to give attack speed, and actually one of the Barghests almost got caught there. Descending upon the army at the natural choke point. This is obviously where you would want to take the fight if you're on Sausage's side, but one of his Hierophants is already down, and the attack speed increase comes in for Zeke. He's going to crush this front gate, almost assuredly. The Kabbalist is out for Sausage. He's trying to keep the fight going. Witnesses end up going down, and that's a Kabbalist teleport, but he immediately gets domed. Zeke only's got 1 Zealot left. The Charlatan duplicating a lot of attacks, but there's almost no frontline left for the defending Protoss. Not a lot of DPS left over here. Vagrants have come out in pretty good force. Down goes the Barghest. No more Armor Pen. And the Bulwark will be brought down. Just gives him a little bit of space to work with here. Trading down an Ecclesiast for a Zealot. He's got more units coming in as well. This is not looking very good for Sausage, but he is still holding, if only barely, a 5-worker deficit, humongous army deficit, and the reinforcements are starting to move across the map right now. Zeke just needs to keep him barely tested, you know, like see what he can do with limited forces. That was just kind of an auto aggro, nothing big there. But Zeke does need to keep him interested, and the reinforcements are going to come in to try to finish the job. You can see the Charlatans are helping each other out, but I don't think it's going to quite be enough as the Zealots start to crash forward and Ecclesiast falls, and that just speeds up the process as all of those Zeke Zealots come in, desperate to try to hold. He puts down a pylon wall. It's a pretty good idea. It's a nice move, but the attack speed increased Zealots are just going to cut through like a hot knife through butter. All the Wardens are going down, and there's no more units left to defend. Sausage drives the GG, and Zeke takes map 1. And a similarly timed affair to how game 1 versus Smarty went. His only game in that best of 1. Very nice play. Very nice play. We are going to see him go up against Sausage on Sausage's own terms now. Our underdog will pick the map. And we'll see if we get a 3-game set out of this one the way that we did in our last series. What's up, Ancient Scion? The toss flying shooty? Yeah, Barghest. I think I probably mentioned that after the chat message went through. Patadia is going to be where we go for our next round of play. Whoever wins this series overall is going to face Arbuz in the grand final, who is CNAF in the YouTube chat. So when he starts talking about things that the Protoss could do better or something, you have some... You know, he beat Zeke earlier. He's got some street cred around here. He also used to be a Protoss player before he switched to Zerg. We're ready to go, ladies and gentlemen. It is time. Patadia coming up at you. While I get the map overlay updated, I'll let you know that Sausage in the bottom right is the eggshell blue Protoss. Zeke, the ultramarine Protoss in the top left. Patadia is a very comfortable map for Zeke. It's a map that he's regularly picked, along with like Oya and some of the other pro players. I think Hamano enjoys this map as well as the Starcraft 2 Pro. So a lot of pros have enjoyed Patadia. It has been made a bit of a standard map in that respect. And then additionally to that, you know, Crisis Vector, Near Impact. These are maps that are like fairly comfortable for these guys. And for Zeke to pick Atacama after that, well, BDB must be doing something right, and Jujic much the same. Jujic did Near Impact, Crisis Vector, BDB did Atacama and Patadia. That's pretty cool. We'll have to see if Sausage has a different game plan or if he wants to re-up on the same thing. Zeke seems to enjoy the Strider-based gameplay, and I see why. Adding the 1 Hierophant for the buff is super good. Camera Hawk is being set up there a little bit later into the game. And we do have Sausage scouting. Zeke chose to scout with his Legionnaire, which is kind of interesting. Sausage did scout with his Scribe last game as well, so that's been a difference between the two players. I think Scribe scouting is like more matchup dependent among the top players than, or maybe even like play style dependent. Like if you know you're up against a person who might be doing something very unorthodox, it can be good to scout with that. But Zeke choosing to scout with the Legionnaire, is he going to stick around and kill this scout? He could, and it looks like he will. He's going to scout 2 gate, but didn't scout where the third was, if there was a third. Sausage going gate Grand Library. He could get overwhelmed early on with a lot of tier 1 units, but Striders are a little bit slower to actuate because of their build time, because of their resource cost. It'd be like trying to mass Goliaths instead of Cyclops or even Vultures in as a Terran player, if that helps anybody out. Didn't have any Terran players in today's tournament. We had Kutian, but he had to bow out, and then Vilius signed up as random. If he had signed up as Terran, I think he would have done some damage. If Kutiam had been in here, he would have done some damage. That would have been nice. Actually, if Kutiam hadn't withdrawn, we would have been able to get the clean 12 players as well, which would have been even nicer. All right, Zeke manages to make it in. Good micropathing to make it so that the Legionnaires can't just chase him. 2 Legionnaires is going to be pretty good at dealing with some of this. Sausage was already down in workers a little bit here. Oh, look at that. One more hit. There he goes. Second worker kill. You'll laugh if you like, but Sausage is down 3 workers to Zeke. And the Grand Libraries were scouted as well. Now, it's going to be Atreus-based play. It can stand up to Dracodon for sure. I wonder, actually, is Sausage going to like filter in more Ecclesiast or something? Because like, here's the thing. Atreus recently did get buffed insofar as their gas cost was reduced. So they have the same gas cost as a Dracodon, but they're more mineral intensive than a Dracodon and always have been. Maybe he's going Hierophant, which is a bit more gas intensive. I'm thinking, like, what do you do with that extra gas that didn't exist before the buff? And the buff was, a month and a half ago or something, but still worth pointing out that was the most recent change to them. So if that's the case, and he's going to go like Atreus Hierophant, I could see that actually working out pretty well. The Atreuses can sort of be their own chaff. Let's see if he can hold out against this initial aggression. I don't see why he wouldn't be able to. And Amaranth has also been filtered into the comp, and that's very good. It's a very tanky unit. Zealots in Cosmonarchy have 3 armor until their shields break, and then they have 2. The Amaranth always has 3 armor, and additionally has shield steal based on damage it deals. So it's a pretty tanky unit, and when you don't have a lot of damage focusing it down, it will just stick around for some time. Now, this is a little unfortunate. Zeke did not control his rally very well. He's got 1 Zealot slipping the net and forcing Sausage back, but he did take some chunk damage on his Dracodon. Atreus now coming down again. We're building up to that comp, and it does look like it's like Atreus Hierophant. I guess with double Grand Library, you could be doing like Atreus Cantavis or something like that, Barely spending any gas on the Atreus anyway. Kabbalists are coming out. Okay. I kind of like the idea of Zeke going for, some kind of move with the Kabbalist. Oh, look at that. He's actually got the Amaranth dead to rights. Unless he doesn't want to use the Kabbalist for it. Maybe he doesn't want to reveal it yet. Zealot will be cleaned up. The Kabbalist is now leaving the base. Did Sausage notice? He's got no static defense in here. The Nexus comes down faster than Zeke's, but the Kabbalist could absolutely run roughshod over his whole base. Doesn't really have the money to spare based on how he lost those 3 workers earlier. Or 2 workers. He was down 3 workers in general. His embassy is coming, but it's way too late to defend versus this. Are we going to see him react to it? He surely saw the Kabbalist, the Shimmer. Yep, he knows what's happening. He's going to have to give chase, and he puts down a Bulwark to catch any further ones. But the whole army chasing this is allowing Zeke to move forward with his own army and maybe try to take down that Bulwark, maybe even pressure for a little bit more damage. Any worker deficit that you can continue to stave off here from Sausage's POV is good. And the Kabbalist will go down, but now the Bulwark is going to get killed and not even canceled. It looks like the Nexus is going to be focused down, and the whole army is going to have to go down the ramp. No, he is actually going to fall away and just kill the Bulwark. But, that's an expensive structure to lose. So, not a terrible situation there. He killed, like, 2 workers, and then has his own Nexus coming up. He put a lot of damage on it, so it's a little bit, dangerous to just leave that there. 5 gate. The gallery not being used. just yet. Another Kabbalist coming up. There is a Matrix in the mineral line. It's okay. Like, it stops the Kabbalist from idling in your mineral line, but it's not the best overall. A Bulwark now powered by the Nexus, as opposed to the Pylon. And another Kabbalist is going to try to slink in. I mean, why doesn't he just do the same thing? Now, this is why. The Witness does come out in just in time. If that didn't happen, we'd once again be in a situation where Sausage could have to lose his front gate to keep the Kabbalist out of the back line. His front line is just about dead. Hierophant Atreus is pretty good. We're seeing the sort of fruits of his labor here, but the Draconin count is still high enough that it can duel with this army and start taking out the Hyros. I don't think Zeke should stick around until he gets more frontliners. Oh, but down that Hierophant will go. It's chunked down immediately. And now it's just the Atreuses. Without that attack speed buff, they can struggle versus the Draconids. And yeah, the Scribes need to get in. The Battle Workers need to happen. He's got Zealots coming. Amaranth's coming, but it feels like it might be a little bit too late. Down below half HP on one of his Atreuses. Battle Workers fighting the Zealots is very funny. Reinforcements coming in. A big stack of them in the middle of the map as well. It's Zealot Ecclesiast, a dirty front line that Sausage is going to have a hard time dealing with. All of his frontliners are going down. He's making an Envoy. I'm not quite sure what for. Maybe he wants to go for a Storm Drop, but he has no Cantavis yet. It's just Zealot Amaranth to try to reinforce the Atreuses, which, you know, he's kept alive, to his credit. And they're pretty good versus the Zealots that Zeke's got. But all of his frontliners are dead again. The Bulwark trying to keep him alive, but it's too far away to help out in that fight. Pylon will finally be cracked. We got more Zealots and another Draconin coming down for Zeke. Plus he's got his natural going, and Sausage is caught up in workers, but doesn't matter that much. Oh, couldn't quite scoot away with that one. The Envoy getting tagged by the Hierophant to make matters worse. And I feel like this is going to be the beginning of the end here, where the Atreuses just can't do anything. They can't get on top. He's trying to load him up, but he had two more in there, and yeah, I think that's it. No amount of Envoy Micro would have been able to save him. Zeke's on top of him in the natural, and he's punching his ticket back to the grand final, looking for revenge. GG! Zeke takes on Arbuz in a best-of-3. Well, it was a good run from Sausage as well. Gotta hand it to him. Since Arbuz managed to make it to the grand final, he will take the place of the higher seed player. Having gone through the upper bracket, Zeke will only be able to pick map 2, and Arbuz will select map 1 now. We're going to Frosted Forest for our first game. And the players were ready, lickety-split, so we're getting straight into it, boys. Frosted Forest coming at you here. Arbuz Budesh's pick. He is the bottom left, Vine Green, no, Emerald Zerg. And in the top right, we have the Platinum Purple Protoss from Zeke. I guess Platinum Purple before I even remembered about Tyrian Purple, and that's actually the color I was thinking that might have been, so I'm glad that my mouth took over for my brain. My brain did not know the answer, but my mouth did. There you go. Alrighty. Looks to me like with the gas being mined, we're not going to see any super early pool shenanigans, but Arbuz typically goes K-Group Pool Larvask, and whether he adds a second Larvask or a hatch kind of depends on how the first couple of units go. On the other hand, Zeke, with his Gateway coming up, his way to navigate this matchup previously was to go for like 3-gate or 2-gate Rogue Gallery. He likes his Zealot Ecclesiast. And Arbiz does need to be provoked into some sort of detection, typically. He doesn't make the Ovalith blind the way that somebody like AOT might. I also really like that Smarty earlier was saying, please remove Kabbalist when he lost to Ziki. And I get it. I understand why he might say such a thing. You know, his seems to be one of his weaknesses. But he also, like, it's rough because he tried to use it against AOT and he barely got anything done with it. And so he went from, like, I can't use it myself to I can't defend against it either. And yeah, at that point you just wish it was not a thing. But that's okay. It's a skill he can practice. We do have the 2-gate coming from Ziki to follow up. Well, I guess the 3-gate coming. And he will be scouting with the Legionnaire. The way that I think we saw this earlier in the games that Arbiz fought against Ziki, it was Germination was game 2. I think game 1 must have been Near Impact, or... I'm not quite sure. I can't remember what map game 1 was on, actually. But nonetheless, it was a situation where both games started off with the Legionnaire arriving as the Zeths left the building and one pair of Quas was here to defend. And so typically the Legionnaire didn't get much done. And yeah, I think it was Near Impact because the Scribes were like in a formation that you would kind of expect there to be that. So a little bit of micro to try to dance with the Zets. I actually don't mind this from Arbiz, or rather I don't mind this from Ziki. Arbiz spending a little bit more time on that. Like, if your Legionnaire already isn't going to get anything done in the mineral line of the enemy base, you can go ahead for a delayed scout, and you see the second Larvosk. But as a result of, like, the delayed scout, yeah, okay, you were never going to get a worker kill, per se, unless the enemy really screwed up. But you can slow down the Zeth, maybe pick a Zeth, and, you know, have a couple more military units out and ready, just in the nick of time before the Zeths start to attack. And now, just through that little delay he did, it feels less likely than ever that Arbiz is going to get any damage here. So it's a neat little move that, you know, you still go get your scout. Sure, you don't get damage, but you get your scout and you delay them from making the move into your base, your territory, just in the right time so that you don't take any damage. There's no risk for it. So it's a nice little adjustment. Whether it's an intentional one, it's hard to say. Also, those Zeths did not scout the 4th gateway. Arbiz going for his Vornath. Looks like he wants to try to crush it with just pool units for now. You can go straight up to the Calcure Lake and then, you know, mass upgrade your Quas into Lyrilisks, but typically I find that for Zerg, if they don't win the very first fight they use the Lyrilisks with, they typically do get outscaled. But this is not going to be a typical game, because Ziki is going 4-gate. So this will delay his Nexus, which will delay his other tech by some considerable degree. And Sam keeping on top of his resource spending with that extra gateway. He just wants to hit a really big number of Zealot Ecclesiast. His Legionnaire is still alive. He's going to use it for a scout to see what the opponent is cooking up. And actually, if the Legionnaire does get through, yeah, sure, there's 2 Quas over here patrolling as an anti-Legionnaire play. But he's going to scout out that the enemy is moving up here. Vorvs are coming up. He might be able to spot this before they get to a ridiculous number. And he might need to second guess whether or not he wants to keep fighting. You know, the Vorvs can be a pretty deadly option here. Does he have any more units? A Nexus is coming up. He's got Zealot Ecclesia. So he went idle on his production for a little bit to get that expansion. The Vorvs are trying to make it to the natural choke before the army does. You can see the Ecclesiasts are kind of in an awkward spot where they can't really fight the Quas, but at the same time, those Quas engaged onto Zealots. And that was not the best use of the army that Arbiz could have come up with. Down to 4 Vorvs. I think he made 5 and not 6. So he didn't lose that many. But Megan 6 more back at home. Going to try to hold off against it. And it should feel like this is a really large number of gateway units. I don't know if Arbiz will know that it was 4-gate, but he might be able to intuit that, just seeing the sheer size of the army. And the number of Ecclesiasts being a little bit higher makes it a little bit harder for the Vorv Zeth to make it happen. Now, this is still a really forward position for Ziki's army. And so I don't know that he's going to be able to get out of dodge here. He might have overstepped his bounds. Trying to kite backwards. The Vorvs make it a little bit difficult. One of the Ecclesiasts will eventually die and speed up the army. So surely, oh, especially with all them stuck. Oh, they were all surrounded. Blink and you miss it. And now all of a sudden most of his army is dead. But he is still going to waste the time of the Protoss to move further forward. The Paranaths is sighted. He's added a Warden and Ardent Authority. Still producing off of 4 gateways. He's got a decent Zealot count. Can he hold, though? It's going to be a really tough call. 2 Zealots, one of them a little bit wounded. Now a Bulwark coming up for that shield regen. No Matrix. That's a little bit of an awkward one. Vorf count is still plenty healthy to try to break this kind of position. Arbiz knows that he's got the momentary advantage, and he will dive forward, putting Zeke into a lot of trouble. Scribes try to battle, but the Warden gets blown open. The Bulwark will finish after all of the Protoss units are dead. His Zealot run-by was countered by just the units there, and GG has to be called. Arbuz finds a 6-minute timing with a Zeth Vorv, even versus the 4-gate, and he will take map 1. All that fighting to get back here, where did it lead you? Back to me. I don't remember anything Marvel, so that quote was not quite there. Crisis Vector is selected as our second map. Could be our final map, or Arbuz could be stymied in his approach. If he manages to take this next map, Arbuz will have not dropped a single map on his way to first place here. And we are getting into our next round. Like I said, could be our final round. Zeke going up against Arbuz on Crisis Vector. Let's see if he's got it. Cyan Protoss in the bottom right. It's Zeke. And Arbuz in the top left. Palatinate purple. No, Japanese violet. Weeb. Oh, Ancient Scion was asking if a unit that get one shot so that's actually the bug in StarCraft 1, by the way. If a unit does not survive an attack, it does not give you notification in StarCraft 1. We did fix that. So when you get one shot, you will be notified. You know, when a Droleth or a Scribe or something like that. So Kabbalists are not as strong in the psychological warfare bypassing notifications thing, as an example. Since it could be our last game here, I want to remind you guys that we are raising money for a 2 versus 2 tournament if you guys want to support that kind of thing. Cosmonarchy 2v2s are pretty banger. They're pretty different than what you might expect. We have a lot of ally mechanics, like you can build in allied power fields. Obviously, you can build an allied Kagra, which is creep. I mean, that's the same as StarCraft 1. You can build on your allies Kagra as a non-Zerg player, though, and that's different. Your creep does not block you from constructing. If your Zerg ally expands in your natural or something, you can still build on it. And you can enter into allied transports, you know, a lot of stuff like that. So, ally safe splash from things like Harakan, our Firebat, or Lakiz, our Lurker, do not deal friendly splash to your allies. A lot of things have been improved for ally play to just make it so that it's a little bit more about team synergy. And so that's pretty cool if you want to see that kind of thing in action in a tournament setting where people are going to try to get sweaty. Donate streamlabs.com/pronago. Great opportunity, great place to do that. I'm sure some of the homies, like I know Zeke plays some 2v2s in StarCraft 1. I'm sure some of the StarCraft 1 pro guys would be interested in that. The 6 Zets are coming. Arbuz going for the same build as on Frosted Forest. The Legionnaire is initially here to distract, and then he's going to see if he can wind his way in. Another 4-gate. This time it feels like even more straightforward, like immediate, you know? He's going for it. Just seeing if he can apply a little bit of pressure here. Arbuz is actually trying to focus on killing that Legionnaire, and so it's slowing his approach up to the top of the ramp here to see that there are indeed 4 gateways for Zeke. Looks like he still believes in the play. He just wants to maybe use his army a little bit more efficiently than on Frosted Forest. Maybe just move across the map as soon as possible. The Vornath has begun. His Legionnaire is on the way back. Pops 2 of the Zeths, and I guess if he just makes a beeline for it right now, he could actually endanger Arbuz's position a little bit. Zeths are going to keep watching for it. Legionnaire does not get a stab in on the way back. It's a lot of Zealots coming. Still expands. Believes he's got the time to make the Vornaths, or the Vorvikors. If he doesn't get Vorvs up, this could just flatten him. We could see the power that Zeke is estimating from this position. Tricksy little power generators placed in places such as to frustrate pathing a little bit, but Arbuz and Zeke haven't struggled too much just yet. Okay, 2 pairs of Naths are on the way. We saw this work out for him on Germination. This is a very similar build, but it was 3 gate instead of 4. Zeke adding a Nexus behind it. He's going to cycle back, try to force him out, see if he can pressure the hatch. If he can kill the hatch, this is a success, but the Nathicores are going to be a big problem here in a moment. They do force the Ecclesias to defend themselves instead of their allies, so you're going to kind of huddle around the Ecclesias with the Zealots and take battles anyway. It's only 4, and there are 3 Ecclesias, so it could be a little bit more doable than it initially looks. Let's keep an eye out. The Ecclesias are going to be what matters here. And again, you're going to want to huddle around because you don't have any armor rend, so the Zerg aren't going to be able to do as much as they would like. These Ecclesias keeping themselves alive for so long. A Legionnaire goes down. A Zealot has gone down. And yeah, the Ecclesias are not helping the Zealots, but they're still conquering the pool units at the same time. And so the Nats end up being eviscerated. He's only got the pairs of those and a couple of the Quas at the same time. Holy guacamole. Just got raided by a Counter-Strike streamer, Maui Snake. Are you kidding me, dude? You're going to walk up here in the grand final of a StarCraft 1 modded tournament? All right, buddy. I see you. I see you. That is a fucking crow. Thank you for the raid and welcome Maui Snake enjoyers. I hope you guys know what you're in for. You guys thought Counter-Strike was the real man's esport? Dude, Brood War, but modded. How niche can you get? We're about to find out. We're about to find out. RTS. RTS. It's like Navi, but instead of blade controlling all the units, it's Zeke and Arbuz. Those are our blades. That's what we got. Let me think about how I can possibly try to explain this in Counter-Strike terms. Okay, so you got a bunch of Mac 10 guys, right? These are the Mac 10ers. And then you got the Protoss, and the Protoss are kind of like, if you get that super suit in the special mode of Counter-Strike, where you get the heavy armor and you move slower, but you can't take damage. So you got Mac 10ers versus heavy armor. Obviously, we know which one is going to win there. But then you got the flying units. What would the flying units be? This is like when Navi calls in a tactical grenade strike, and it wipes out a bunch of players. Or like Alexi B back in like the initial days where Alexi B was like leading the charge on HE damage in Dust 2 back in CSGO when they first changed up the game so you could pick up allied nades, you could drop the nades for your teammate. Yeah, so that's what the Nats were trying to do. But then imagine there's like a special Valorant ability that you can do which takes the grenades and makes it so that they deal less damage somehow. That's basically what the Matrix did for Zeke right there. Also, he's running by with all of his heavy armor dudes, and the Mac 10ers are going to have a hard time dealing with them, right? And so you got these melee... These guys are trying to knife. But knifing versus heavy armor also kind of sucks. So you got a bunch of knifers, and you got a bunch of Mac 10ers. So what do you think about, like, how does the Zerg possibly win this when they just have a bunch of Mac 10ers, and you got a bunch of Zeths? The Zeth are like the melee knifers. So you got knifers and Mac 10ers. How are you possibly going to break this? Well, what if we had an upgraded gun that did bounce damage? It had like Mac 10, but it bounces. Okay, well, it's a little bit more efficient, right? It has some armor pen to try to negate that. By the way, at the same time, there's only static defense here. We have a couple of Ecclesias. Where's the army? The army's completely out of position. Oh no, his heavy armor isn't here to defend. They're knifing the buildings. They're taking the buildings out with knives. They just knifed him on live broadcast television. They knifed the buildings to death. And the battle workers, these guys are making your money so you can buy your weapons, and they're all dead. They're gonna die. They can't defend against knives. All the knifers are killing everybody. They're getting knifed from the back by the heavy armor knifers, but the heavy armor knifers don't have enough heavy armor to deal with all of that, and GG is called. Arbuz, knives, and Mac 10s his way. Spirit Chopper calls his way to victory. And that's how we end the tournament. Ladies and gentlemen, that's it. Unbelievable. Knifed to death. Arbuz wins 2-0. 2-0. Sweep. He swept him. It's over. It's over. Unbelievable. That was a pretty silly game. That was a pretty silly game. So what you just watched was Cosmonarchy. It's a StarCraft 1 mod. It adds 50 units for every race. It adds a 4th race. We're going to add a 5th race by the end of the year. And people play it somewhat professionally in the sense that we got pro players from other RTS games playing our mod. So that's pretty cool. And we also have a ton of content for even casual players. You like team games or you like FFAs, free-for-alls, right? So imagine if you could play like Navi versus Spirit versus Maus, all in the same lobby. Like, they were all in the same server, and they were still trying to fight each other. That's kind of like free-for-all, right? And so it's like, somehow the map would support that. You'd have like a third entrance on Inferno, so it wasn't just a 2-lane disaster class. Yeah, that would be like kind of like that. They should probably do that anyway. But yeah, so if it was like a 5v5v5 instead of just a 5v5. So that's like free-for-all. This is pretty cool, you know? And you can build your knives, and you can build your MAC-10s, and you can kind of... Yeah. So there you go. Where's the HUD? Yeah. So, oh yeah, you want to see the HUD? Here's the HUD. That's it. That's the HUD. There you go. Yeah. Worth pointing out for anybody who is, the people we had before the big Maui raid, dude. Whew. You see how big that raid was? We're noticing the Maui raid. Big Maui raid. The stuff that we had before that big Maui raid was indeed Ziki, StarCraft 1, Hungarian pro, plays Zerg mostly. Then he jumped in to play Protoss. He wanted to see if he could use heavy armor. Turns out that the knives still killed him. I think if he was Zerg, he probably would have won versus Arbuz. Arbuz is anybody who knows like the Cyrillic languages and stuff. Arbuz Budesh translates to "Would you like a watermelon?" Something like that. So the Watermelon Man is out here claiming first place. He has done this before, and he has made it to grand finals before. But this was definitely his most, shall we say, comprehensive win. Okay, it's pretty good. I see the Twitch spam. Why aren't the viewers count going? You're on YouTube, dude. That's why. Torzi, yeah. Well, I think Ziki has more aura than Torji. I mean, that's not hard. But Ziki does have more aura than Torji. Hey, since we got so many people in here, I will take a look to see if we got any other lobbies that we can cast. But the tournament is technically over, so anything else that we do at this point is going to be a little bit silly pants. You know what? We could probably do one more game, because there was a game that was played earlier that I could take a look at in this tournament. It was earlier in the tournament. So this is almost like if, you watched the grand final and then you were like, but that one guy, how did he do in that other game? And so we can take a look at that. I'll just need to grab the replay really quickly. We don't have like demos here. We have replays. It's the same kind of idea. Still better than Valorant, but still better. Big ups to Maui for the raid, though. That was pretty wild. Just got in time for me to talk about knives and MAC-10s, and I guess we have factions, and that could be kind of construed as skins, but the skins do different things. They make the gun do different things or something, so that's kind of like that. I don't know. We don't have any microtransactions, though. You can just donate if you want. That's how we do it. Your game versus Zika was fun? There you go. So, as the tournament has come to a close, we did earlier see Arbuz win, obviously, but in order to get to the point where he was fighting Ziki to begin with, he had to face off against a player known only as Sausage. That's right, Sausage, but with a J, as S-O-S-I-J. I guess if you're from a Nordic country, you might say Saucy, because you don't really know what a J is, but that's okay. Let's go ahead and grab that. Looks like it's a game that we can take a look at here, and just for the sake of posterity, and because I got 100 viewers on Twitch, we might as well go ahead and check it out. Let's go ahead and do that. I'm going to be cast from a replay as opposed to a live game, which is what that last one was. Are you guys ready for some live production? We're going to go ahead and get right into the game, but, oh no, the HUD's wrong. Production, what are you doing? T-Tors, what's happening here? This ain't right. Don't worry, guys. I'm the PGL audio guy, but I'm the Pronago HUD guy. That's what I am. So this is a best of one, not a best of three. Our format was double elimination best of one until the last 4 games that turned into best of 3. It's a weekly tournament, so we get to see this every 2 weeks. Bi-weekly tournament. Noticing. But the main idea here is that you get to have a nice little slice of action. And, we get a bunch of noobs that sign up, and I love the noobs. They make some very funny games. And we'll see how those games go together. Now that the T-Tors is gone, we can introduce our players here in the top left. Playing as the guys with only knives and MAC-10s, it is Arbuz Budesh. His color is Midnight Green. Isn't that pretty cool? He's going to go pool into Larvosk. If you don't understand that, don't worry. It is... he's making more larva, which is like... Let's see, how can I compare that? I don't really know if there is a comparison. I'm sure there's something I could make. So, I talked about the workers, giving you money so you could buy your equipment. So these guys are like, for Zerg, this is how they make their knives. So these must be like the metal workers and the gunsmiths. Don't ask how they turn into an egg and then become a gun. It's an analogy, guys. Sausage is down here in the bottom right. This is going to look somewhat familiar to you guys because Zeke was just playing Protoss, but Sausage is playing Protoss. This time he's eggshell blue. Nice little color there. Going for a 2-gate open, which means he's going to have a lot of heavy armor dudes. But first, he's going to have a stabby spear guy, Legionnaire. Legionnaire works pretty cool. Imagine if you could knife somebody, and when you hit them once with the knife, you could then teleport to them and knife them again. That's the Legionnaire. So he doesn't have heavy armor. He moves pretty fast. But it doesn't look like Sausage wants to move across the map to fight. Instead, Arbuz is just going to do his standard open. He did this every single game I've seen so far today. He's going to send the Zethicors across the map. We got the double Larvosk producing more of those gunsmiths, you know, the forges. The larvae are the metal ingots that you heat up and then melt in order to make the weapons. That makes sense, actually. That makes a lot of sense. So 2-gate and a rogue gallery. Okay, so the rogue gallery has like, okay, teleporting knife, but if you didn't have to hit them first with the knife to teleport, you just teleported by default. That's kind of what we have there. So that little blink overlay animation there is exactly what we were talking about with the Legionnaires. Scribe is here to fight. That's the battle worker. You know, he's like, I'm going to make money by being a bounty hunter. That's not how it works. However, the fourth race, the Escozi, does have a worker that their basic worker does actually, if they kill a unit, it gives you money as if they were harvesting them, which is pretty funny. They're cybernetic lizards that like to take people's remains and turn them into resources. So basically Epstein. Now the Zethicors are going to be shoved off initially in the natural, and we do have a bunch of the quads coming out. So these guys those are the Mac 10s. We talked about those before. They don't move as fast as you would think for Mac 10s. Maybe is there a gun that's not as good as the Mac 10, but moves slower? I don't think so, right? Like the Tech 9, you have like pretty good movement speed too. I don't know. Any suggestions? Any suggestions? Oh, dude, I would definitely be a better analyst than JL. But again, like that's like saying that Zeke has more aura than Torji. I don't know, man. You guys gotta be come up with hotter takes. This is not going to go on the next hot take point made episode. You know what I mean? I can't imagine what Maui's viewers think of this. This is such a bizarre change-up. So the teleporting knife does make it into the base. And looks like so far he's only killed a Mac 10. Now you can make so many Mac 10s. They're so cheap. So killing that is not super useful. But Sausage is going to come out with his other teleporting knives that don't auto-teleport. The harder difficulty teleporting knife. The Legionnaires. Now we got the Nathicors. These guys are like flying knives. But when they attack you, you have less armor. So they're a way to counter the heavy armor, in a way. Also, if they attack another air unit, it's just over. It's like so over. Now, this guy, this big floating fat gas sack, is an Avaleth, and it reveals the cloaked knife. The Shadow Dagger. Oh, at least he'll kill a larva, though. He killed him before he killed the metal ingot. Oh, he killed another metal ingot. Wow, that's crazy. I don't know why they have blood. All right, trying to dive forward here. I think the flying knives are going to rend the armor of the heavy armor guys a little bit too quickly. The Zealot is going to be going down. They're trying to chase after the Hierophant. I don't think that's a great choice. This guy moves a little bit too fast, has a little bit too much health, but everything else is dying over here. Zerg getting right on top. It's a messy fight. Sausage is trying to kite backwards a little bit to the extent that he can. And yeah, you're being knifed, dude. Don't just stand there and take it. Fight back. There you go. Oh, look at that. The Avaleth is going to get caught, too. No more big floating fat gas sack. However, the Shadow Dagger got killed, so no hope in anything there. Oh, Sausage kept his army out. Definitely a mistake. When you scout this flying knife, it means that your opponent can turn their basic knives into advanced knives on the ground. And so you got to watch out for that. At that point, you really need to not be out on the map with your army. Basically, it's a guaranteed flank. Like the advanced knives essentially flank really, really easily because they have much better movement speed. And when they attack you, you move slower. So you really don't want to be out there being exposed like that. Matrixes are coming up. I don't think we're going to be seeing a long-lasting game here. I think Sausage is going to end up having to concede. Arbuz just bursting him over with all of those Mac 10s. You can have all the armor you want. Eventually, there's too many bullets raining down on you. He's retreating all the way back to his main base, but typically when this kind of thing happens, you've lost a lot of economic possibility for scaling, right? You don't have the eco cobras harvesting resources, and meanwhile your enemy does, right? This is an extra base. We got loads of eco cobras, loads of them. And you can't even get your eco cobras to return their cash afterwards to drop it off. Now it's only Mac 10s. When they attack, they move faster. I guess that is a little bit Mac 10-y. That's what that like green overlay is on top of them. It's indicating that they have the movement speed buff. And they are just going to go ahead and pick apart all of those units. GG is called. Sausage can't handle it. And Arbuz, Mac 10's his way to victory yet again. Dude, he really is Spirit Chopper, which is weird because he's Ukrainian, so that's not really the same thing. Maybe he's like Captain Kirka or whatever that guy's name was. I can't remember. I never really watched too many bait games, but that is it. That is the game. That's pretty wild. Lads, thank you very much for joining us. And thank you to Maui for the big raid. Hope you guys had a little bit of a fun laugh at this strange thing that you now know about. And some of you guys did follow. I appreciate all the follows. I'll go ahead and read them out here real quick before we head out. We got Elmer Yo, No Frag TV, Optical Fish 2, Ivan the Truth, and Jogan. Appreciate all of you for dropping by and sticking around long enough to hit the follow button. Oh, and Fire Kazakh, thank you very much as well. Appreciate it. Yeah, you can go on my forehead. That's how that overlay works. Do you like that? You want to be on my forehead? Listen, Maui lets you be on his like best friend list or whatever. You're on my fucking forehead. I think that's an upgrade, personally. But you don't know me that well, maybe. If you guys have been wondering, maybe anybody remembers like Peeker's Advantage podcast, or more recently, It's Server Time. I was the producer on those and eventually managed to show up as a guest for some time as well. So if you guys have been wondering what I've been doing, since all of that, this is more or less what I've been doing. I've been doing a lot of game dev. Occasionally I'd cast some Counter-Strike as well. But that's a wrap. GG's all around. Thank you very much for checking us out. And we will be back soon for another stream, so stay tuned, I guess. Peace.